All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Market Close. I am on time, exactly on time. Hopefully this makes up for the 7-minute delay this morning. I kind of fixed the camera. All the Zoom should be good now. So I'm sorry. I should have been fixed in the morning, but we are here. We are live. What a Monday it has been. Although I was late in the morning, these stocks have not shown any inclination to react, quite frankly, to the geopolitical, one could call it crisis, one could call it string of events that have been happening over the past couple of days, or maybe they are reacting and the reaction tends to be positive based on the inevitable conclusion that the markets may be going for. I am not muted. Don't even think of that, dude. I was about to have a heart attack. For those that are saying I'm muted, bro. If I saw like 5 more muteds, I would have believed it. But there's only 2. You guys have to try harder. You guys have to try harder. I only saw 2 out of like 15 comments. If I actually was muted, I would have been really, really upset. The camera broken in the morning, mic broken in the afternoon. But nope, we're here, we're live. And you know what's not broken? Some of these stocks. Robinhood, 76.64, up 5.6% on the day. Palantir looks like it's going to close just above 141. Didn't get the 144 close. Maybe we got 15 minutes left. Let's see if we can get back to 144. Maybe we get to 142, 141.96. But it is incredible to be above 140, up 3% on the day for our Palantir. Tessie, relatively okay day, up about 1.2%. There was a new piece from Business Insider that we'll talk about comparing Tesla's FSD to Waymo. So we'll go through that a little bit. I saw it in the morning, but didn't have a chance to get through it. So we'll talk more about it today. Nvidia, great day, hit 146.18. Right now at 144. If we get a close above 144.50, I think that would be great. SoFi, 10 cents away from 15. 1490. Grab, nice day, 472 up 3%. Google 176. Meta, great day, touching 701 right now, up 2% on WhatsApp monetization. I mean, the general theme of today, oh, how could I forget? Beautiful AMD. I mean, just incredible, dude. 9% of the day. The theme of the day is that markets don't really care about geopolitics, because if they did care about geopolitics, you might not have this much of an impact in the nuance of if they cared about geopolitics leading to some type of World War III. And that's not what it seems like is the case right now. That's just not what it seems like is the case. This is a heat map kind of how the market is reacting to everything going on. Obviously, big tech kind of leading the way and getting some momentum. One could say the market is caring about geopolitics, and the way they're caring about it, or the reason why stocks are going up, is because they think Iran's not going to win. They think this game is going to be over. They think the escalations will die down. They think that eventually, although Iranian state media at the end of the market open reported that Iran is going to have attacks on Israeli soil that is the worst Israel has ever seen. That hasn't happened yet. Maybe it does throughout the day. I would hope that doesn't happen. But if it does happen, I think the markets are pricing in that America and Iran and America and Israel and a lot of Israel allies would get involved, and that would not be good for Iran. So from that perspective, I think right now the markets are basically saying, hey, we don't think this is going to escalate. If it does escalate, we know who's going to be the winner. We don't see Russia or China stepping up to back Iran. Maybe that happens, but as of now, that hasn't happened. And as a result, they might be pricing in that maybe there's not a massive regime change, but there is an end to some of the escalation. Now, we don't know if Israel is ready to fully end the escalation. Netanyahu did give a quote to a reporter about 2 hours ago, ABC News, and he said that he has no interest in a peace deal with Iran. So that obviously sounds like he's upping the escalation. But granted, he could be just saying that in the moment, and then, over the coming days, we're going to see how it actually plays out. So right now, I think it's still a big unknown, but the one thing that is known is markets are buying whatever geopolitical dip that exists. And by the way, the equity research firms are saying that as well. Oppenheimer this morning said, stay bullish on equities despite geopolitical tensions. The note emphasized the importance of a long-term approach, particularly in periods of heightened volatility. Quote, from our perch on the market radar screen, patience and diversification remain key to navigating the markets. And essentially, they said you shouldn't be that worried about what's going on geopolitically. And that's how it feels like the market's reacting. That's how it feels like the market is reacting. Nick says, what if it's nothing to do with anything other than global liquidity that's going up and up and up? That's a fair point. That is also a fair point, and we haven't even cut rates yet. So, when you talk about global liquidity, we really haven't had the major catalyst to take place yet. Now, we do have a rate cut meeting or an FOMC meeting. I called it a rate cut meeting, an FOMC meeting on Wednesday. It will not be a rate cut for us. There is a 99.8% chance that we stay at the same rates, so a pause. July, there is a 12% chance we get a cut. September, there's a 56.5% chance we get a cut. So it looks like a 2024 redo is going to happen. We're going to get that cut in September. And if we do, that would obviously be very good for the markets. But that means for the rest of the summer, we're probably not going to be seeing any meaningful rate cuts. But maybe this market doesn't need it. Maybe this market just wants more trade deals and earnings growth, and that's enough to kind of hold it over until we get those rate cuts. Palantir right here, 141.68, Tessie 328, Circle, big day for Circle. At one point, it was up 20%. Currently on the day, it is up 13%. So still holding on to a plus 10% day. AMD again, up 9%. That was incredible. Nebius, I believe, was up 7%, up about 7.3%. HIMS did break 61. HIMS 59.94, just under 60 at 8% up on the day. And then Hoodie, great day as well, 76.76. Maybe we break 77. We got 9 minutes left, but even if we close above 76, it means S&P inclusion was not the reason for the hype 2 weeks ago when it did get back to some of these levels. Where's XYZ on the day? XYZ, this one. Oh, wow. Yeah, that one's up 5%. That makes sense. Bitcoin had a great day as well. Bitcoin right here, 108.5, trying to get back to 109. Reddit was upgraded in the morning. Reddit right here, 125. That's having a great day, 6.5%. SMCI up 5%. I mean, really, the entire day has been relatively green. Even ASTS up 9.4%. I think Rocket Lab was up about 2%. Rocket Lab up 3.75%. It was a green day. And it was one of those days that reminded you that the geopolitical dips always are the dips that you tend to buy. So let's talk about a couple other headlines as we get into the market close. We do have Lennar earnings. That's a home builder. Honestly, I think that's going to be at 4:30, so I don't even think we're going to get those results soon. But that is something that'll give us a better inclination of what's going on in the home building space. Here's a reason why Circle could be pumping today. JP Morgan has filed a cryptocurrency trademark, JPMD, for trading and payment services. This is linked to a potential stablecoin that JP Morgan is coming out with as well, based on some reports that we've seen today. I mean, it could just be proving that this market for overall payments is going to be bigger than what people had expected. You can see right there some more details. JPMD, virtual and digital currency, decentralized application tokens, digital tokens and payment tokens, blockchain-enabled currencies. And other people are speculating that it's not just a stable coin, but a full-blown digital asset exchange is kind of the argument here. If that's the case, Mr. Jamie Dimon, who hated Bitcoin forever, or who said he would hate Bitcoin forever, maybe he's kind of changing his tune. So that could be one thing we've got going on right now. And that was one update that we had today. Another update right here. So this chart I thought this was incredible. Although retail is selling, the option volumes are growing. 0 DTE option volumes reflected 61% of total S&P 500 option volumes on average in May, which is an all-time high by a percentage of the volume. The share of these risky trading instruments as a percentage of total S&P volume has tripled since 2022. And last month in May, retail traders accounted for 54% of the S&P 500 0 DTE volume, according to data from CBOE. And this was slightly below the 57% average that was seen over the past year. I mean, this is pretty incredible. Yeah, the first thing I thought was degens as soon as I saw this. I have never done a 0 DTE option. I think the most I've done is a weekly option on like Tesla, like back in like 2024 or something. But I've never done like a 0 DTE call option, like that day, buy it in the morning, hope it pumps by the afternoon. I've never done that, but there are people that know how to do that. And if you know how to do that effectively, obviously it can be very well for you in terms of gaining momentum. Let's get some coverage on what's going on in G7. We did have Trump and Mark Carney meet, and they did say, or at least Trump said, he confirmed that Iranian officials called him to de-escalate tensions and urge for a ceasefire. Iranian state media said, nope, that never happened. Wall Street Journal is wrong. We want to keep attacking Israel. No one knows exactly what to believe. But nonetheless, the president did confirm that from his perspective, Iran wants to de-escalate the situation.
Summit, and already a number of events that we've seen the president take part in so far. We saw him on camera sit down bilaterally with the Canadian Prime Minister and the host for this week, Mark Carney. We also saw he had a quick pull aside with the German Chancellor, that's Friedrich Merz. France is saying that there was also time somewhere for a sit down with the French President Emmanuel Macron, a meeting they say touched on tariffs, the Middle East, and Ukraine. And we also are tracking a bilateral coming up with the UK Prime Minister, that's Keir Starmer, expected to get underway here in the next hour or so, and we'll bring you that as we have it. All of that, as you mentioned at the top, is happening against the backdrop of this ongoing turmoil in the Middle East, everything that's been going on between Israel and Iran over the past few days. The president has spoken about that so far today. He first essentially confirmed reports that he has heard from the Iranians reaching out and wanting to negotiate. And then he said this. Take a listen.
They have to make a deal, and it's painful for both parties, but I'd say Iran is not winning this war. And they should talk, and they should talk immediately before it's too late.
fueling those hopes for some sort of a deal or at least getting back to the negotiating table. And then, Scott, the other major topic here, of course, has been trade and tariffs, sort of the backdrop to every conversation that's been ongoing. Everybody here is anxious for a deal, both the White House and the other foreign leaders wanting to strike some sort of an agreement or at least to have some momentum towards a deal before that July 9th deadline when tariffs could kick back up to higher levels than before. As of now, not happening yet. We're not seeing much evidence of concrete deals at this point, but it still could happen. And we'll first at least see what happens with the UK when they sit down later this hour. Scott.
Yeah, we will. Okay. So again, Trump saying, hey, these guys are not going to win. They either take it or leave it. You got Iranian state media going the opposite. So we haven't heard of any meaningful reports yet that Iran is like seriously attacking Israel the way they said they would. But over the coming hours, I think we'll have more details on how that plays out. It is starting to be nighttime and like midnight around the Middle East. And so we might have some things happen in the night and we will have to monitor it as well. Also, Japan, I believe at 12 a.m., 11:30 Eastern, might be 12 a.m. Eastern, are making a rate cut decision. So we will, I think it's like 8 a.m. or 10 a.m. their time. It'll be in the middle of the night, but we will know if Japan cuts or pauses. Most likely they're pausing. I mean, the market's not expecting them to cut or hike. So shouldn't be that big of a deal, but that will be something that affects markets later throughout the day as well. Robin at 76.81. We got about 4 minutes until we get into the close. Let me check 77 resistance just to see if there's any chance right here. 27,000 shares, 27,000 shares. Palantir, just incredible day. 141. I mean, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing, dude. From $7 to 141. I mean, realistically, Palantir and Nvidia, they're kind of twinning. They're kind of twinning right here. Nvidia up 2%, Palantir up 3.49%. Nice little twinning. And again, remember, Karp did talk about a year ago the concept that the only things will be valuable in AI are chips and ontology.
Do things that would have otherwise cost billions of dollars for millions of dollars, meaning being very precise in how you allocate troops, being precise in how you target people. There's a fundamental fallacy around large language models. People could conflate actual data of an enterprise, which is structured and can be taken apart and understood, with a large language model, which is much more like an emergent property, something that is can be modeled, used, but you need precision. And all the value in the market is going to go to chips and what we call ontology. We have this ontology, and the ontology will allow you to take a large language model and use it, refine it, and you then impose it on your enterprise in the logic of your enterprise, in the security model of your enterprise. And what does that mean for the 70 people are here presenting, talking about why they're using it, how they're using it. You got to remember, we started selling this product just over a year ago. We started with the claim that we knew a lot about the precursors of large language models, and the general approach of just buying models is going to be essentially self-pleasuring for an enterprise at the cost of the enterprise. And no one believed us.
Well, I think they're going to have to believe you now, Dr. Karp. 141. The stock, I believe, was 35 during that AIP con back in June of 2024. Things have changed. Things have changed. I mean, he turned out to be right. Chips and ontology. And like, it's not even a philosophical argument that he's right about, because he is right about that, but rather the numbers. Nvidia's grown, and Palantir is the fastest growing AI SaaS company on the planet. It's just, it is what it is. And if they can hold up that type of growth, if they can keep that momentum at about 39-40% and expand that to maybe 45-50%, really bring that momentum, then I think obviously the market would be very excited, and hopefully that could get the broader market to believe that Palantir is not a joke when it comes to AI. And so that's what we got going on in the context of Palantir today. We got about 30 seconds until the market closes, folks. Let's see what we got. We got a couple more headlines to analyze after the bell, and then we will keep going from there. An exciting day, a day that not many of us thought would be, that strong or green in terms of momentum, given all the geopolitical tensions. But with oil being down in the pre-markets, S&P being at 6,000, it seems like the broader market has decided to say, we just don't care about geopolitics as a reason to sell off these equities. All right, here we go. 4 p.m. Monday, June 16th. Thank you, everybody, for being here. The stock market is now closed. All right, there we go. We are done for the day. On Monday, Robinhood 76.75. We closed up 5.72% of the day. Palantir 141.63. Again, 144.86 was the all-time high that we hit today, but this is the first $140 close that we have seen for Palantir. Tesla 329. Nvidia 144.48 was not able to get above 145, but still some nice momentum today. Up about 1.78%. PayPal right here 72.30, up 2%. SoFi cannot get the 15 close. Still green. Still green, up 6%. And really, the 6% came towards the end of the day. Like, it was kind of flat during the morning, and then really towards the end of the day, it spiked up. Where's Chime? Chime was up 5% as well. Okay, so Chime was down 6% on Friday. That one's up today. Grab right here up about 3%. Googs 176, that's up 1%. Amazon 216, that was up 2%. Meta monetizing the billions of people that use WhatsApp, or at least the beginning of that is starting. That's at 702, up 3%. Elf was up about 0.5% of the day. TFC was up about 1%. Microsoft all-time highs. It did hit 480 at one point, closed at 477. But great day for Microsoft. Enphase right here at 45.93. MicroStrategy down, even though Saylor bought more Bitcoin. Again, there's a lot of shares outstanding. So from that perspective, the Bitcoin per share does get diluted as Saylor purchases more or sells more stock to be able to buy the Bitcoin. Now, for this specific sale, I do not believe they sold any stock. So they did something with their other preferred shares, but they did not sell actual MicroStrategy common stock. Nonetheless, stock relatively flat on the day as they bought 10,000 more Bitcoin. Bitcoin right here, 108.6 right now. Lockheed Martin was down 4% on the day. And that right there is anything. If there is any inclination that the market is saying we don't really believe that there is going to be an escalation to this war, it's Lockheed Martin and Raytheon being down 3% and 4% today. And the market's basically saying, yeah, we kind of think it's over. We kind of think it's over, at least right now. Raytheon right here, this one was slightly up 0.5%. L3 Harris, that one also down 4% with Lockheed Martin. So both of those down on the day. DoorDash up about 1%. Duolingo down about 0.5%. And then SoFi right here, 14.92. I did make the other watch list for everybody else. So this is the Steve ETF. This is the Steve ETF. You got Meta, Microsoft, MicroStrategy, Hims, Broadcom, CrowdStrike, Netflix, Salesforce, PayPal, and Micron. Not a bad day. The only two red ones he had was MicroStrategy and Crowd. On Chris, the only two red ones he had was Lilly, Novo Nordisk, Axon, and UNH. So he actually had 4 red ones. On Matt, we have the only red being EOG, oil and gas. That makes sense. And ABCL. And then Tanner, we have no red. ASML, App11, Coinbase, TSM, Shopify, Mercado Libre, Nubank, ServiceNow, and Nvidia. All green on the day. Why do you guys care so much about Estee Lauder, dude? Did you guys buy it? Damn, why is it up 10%? Did you guys follow Burry into this? Was there some news today? Why was Ulta up as well? If Estee Lauder was up, Ulta was up 3. Elf was flat. Granted, Elf ran a lot last week. Did they announce something? This stock usually doesn't pump 10%. Wait, Leonard Lauder died? Who's Leonard? Is he the... Wait, what? Who's the... Leonard Lauder? He died today? He died at 92. He's Estee Lauder's son. Huh. The son of Estee Lauder died. And the stock went up? How come no one said this in the chat this morning? Insider shares, 133,000 shares were bought from an insider in February. Option calls volume up 70% today. Really? It's up because the son of the founder passed away. Okay, well, I did not see that. I didn't see that the whole day. Yeah, he passed away today. Philanthropist and so was he running the company? I would imagine he was running the company. Yeah, he was president of the holding company. That's what it looks like right here. Wow. So why did that? I think they were pricing in a sentimental buy of the product. Okay, so who else has a theory for why this thing pumped on that's I did not know that because I was wondering all day why this thing was running. And who's in this one? Who followed Burry into this? Sales accelerated when Kate Spade died. Huh. I didn't even know Kate Spade died, to be honest. Yeah. Okay. So either the market is thinking, hey, there's new leadership that's gonna be better for the company. Either the market is kind of pricing in this sentimental thing that there's gonna be more brand recognition, so people are gonna buy more products, or maybe there's something else that we don't know about. But there you go. That stock up 10.5% today. And yeah, rest in peace. I did not know that happened. That happened, like that was reported early in the day. I'm just realizing that right now. So there you go. That stock as well was green on the day. Lennar earnings, I don't know if we get them soon. We might get them towards 4:30. This one tends to take some time. Lennar right here, 109.55. 61% of you said dump versus pump. Lennar stock year to date is down 11%. Over the past year, it's down 24%. I think we're going to get earnings probably in like 20, 30 minutes, and then we'll see what happens there. But yeah, that one is down on the year. Yeah, a lot of you guys. Well, wait, is Jeremy in this one? Okay, that might be a reason some of you guys like this. I didn't know Jeremy liked this name. All right, there you go. Well, so he obviously saw something that Burry saw as well in this one. Now, we don't even know if Burry's still in it. That's the thing. People are saying Burry's short Nvidia, but he could have been out of that short a while ago. We're not going to find out for another 45 days. So we don't know if he's selling into this or if he's out already. But granted, he did go kind of all in with his cash that he was ready to deploy in the portfolio. So theoretically, you would argue that he's there for a long time versus off of a quick pump. But then again, we're going to find out in the coming months. Rocket Lab is up a little bit after hours. I don't think there's any major headline on Rocket Lab. We are up a little bit right here, up 4.4% today. Kind of moved with all the other space companies. ASTS again up 9.12%. Archer was up 3.6%. So that 850 million share dilution they did last week. I mean, if you wanted an opportunity to get into Archer, like down 15%, this is your opportunity. The question is just, hey, how much do you believe in these guys raising this money and what they're going to be able to do with this money? Convertible notes and raising money is fine, and dilution is fine, especially when you're a small company. The question is, do they have a plan? And you have to believe that Archer has some type of plan if you are buying it on this dip right here. Rock Lab 2662, ASTS again 4176, Block 6482, and then you got Palantir right here 141.45 on the day. Yeah, Metaplanet. This was another one. Again, if you are in this kind of thesis around Japan and the crippling infrastructure of Japanese debt, one could argue toxic debt based on Japanese bonds that is now essentially allocating into other ecosystems. Metaplanet up 18% of the day, up 487%. The thesis here is really simple. The thesis is just Japanese people do not trust their debt, or they don't trust their government with issuing debt and bonds anymore. And because they don't trust that, they're going to leverage plays like a Metaplanet on Bitcoin. Now, again, the only issue here is Metaplanet, if I'm not wrong, is trading at like 9 to 10 times its net asset value of Bitcoin, which is fine if you believe that there's so much capital inside of Japan that's going to leave regular bonds and go into leverage instruments like this. The question is just, why are you paying 10x net asset value? And I'm sure there's a greater understanding to the thesis that I have not spent enough time looking into, but it's been working. And if you've been in this Metaplanet thing, you can't really buy it on Robinhood. You got to go through like Fidelity and Schwab. You have to pay some fees to be able to convert the currencies to be able to buy it. So there's a little bit of hiccups to get access to this. But this has been one of the best leveraged Bitcoin plays. I mean, it's up 200% in the past month. It's been way better than MicroStrategy this year so far. So this one not doing too bad. We got a headline on OpenAI. Let me pull this up right here. OpenAI. Whoa. Holy. OpenAI has discussed making antitrust complaints against Microsoft. Oh my goodness. Microsoft is asking for a larger stake in the newly formed for-profit entity that OpenAI is willing to give them. Microsoft is OpenAI's largest shareholder, story according to the Wall Street Journal. Wait a second. Hold on. This is kind of like Elon and Trump going back and forth. A little bit of internal conflict. OpenAI is discussing making an antitrust complaint against Microsoft. I'm going to try to get some more details from the Wall Street Journal right here. Holy crap. Yeah, just broke now. Tensions between OpenAI and Microsoft are flaring up based on their AI partnership. OpenAI wants to loosen Microsoft's grip on its AI product and computing resource and secure the tech giant's blessing for its conversion into a for-profit company. Wow. Holy moly. Where's Microsoft stock? That's actually Microsoft not really moving on this. Microsoft after hours it's down 1/3%. Nothing too crazy. Dude, I think this is OpenAI saying, hey, we don't want to play with you guys anymore. We're done. Thanks for the $13 billion you gave us a while ago. We kind of don't need you. I mean, does OpenAI really need Microsoft? Like, realistically, the amount of capital that is flooding into OpenAI, they have SoftBank, they have Nvidia, they have so many companies. They need Azure, obviously. They need the compute. But do they really need Microsoft as a strategic partner? I mean, like, to an extent, for sure, right? I wouldn't downplay Microsoft as a good partner. It's just like, could they be a successful company? Could they be a $1 trillion company without Microsoft owning a big stake of them? Yeah, I think so. It obviously helps to have them, but maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't. Dude, Sam Altman. Sam Altman, bro. Ruthless. Freaking ruthless. Yeah, that's true. They're using Google now for ChatGPT. We saw that deal on Monday or on Thursday where they're getting compute from Google because, they're diversifying all the different hyperscalers that they use. Dude, this is quite interesting. I'm gonna see if I can get some more coverage on this. This is pretty important. Now, granted, it might just be resolved internally. It might be a nothing burger like Elon and Trump, and market might not care too much about it. But it's definitely something we're gonna have to see in terms of how it plays out over the coming days. Dude, Sam Altman does not care, bro. He does not care. I mean, Elon tried to tell everybody this guy is not really one to be trusted. Now, granted, is this a situation of him being a slimy, unethical type of partner, or is this business? Like Steve Jobs was ruthless too. Steve Jobs was an animal. You could call him unethical, or you could call him a ruthless business guy. I mean, there's two different ways to kind of describe the Steve Jobs persona. I wonder how the history books treat Sam over the long term when this is said and done. One thing that cannot be argued is that ChatGPT is growing better than every other LLM. And so the question now is, how do they scale that growth and maintain ownership over that growth on the long term as well? OpenAI is making some moves on the back end, which is very impressive. Yeah, I mean, dude, like the sheer amount of growth of ChatGPT is something like everyone thought the models were commoditized, which they are. Like, obviously the models are commoditized, but that doesn't matter in the context of, hey, people using a certain model will still make a ton of money. And you can get the same results from a Grok or a GPT or a Claude, but if people are using one over the other more, then that's kind of what matters. I mean, it's kind of like the concept of Twitter is commoditized, right? Like Threads is at Blue Sky. These are copycats, which means, yes, there's no moat to the concept of an app like Twitter, which is just a text-based social network. But Twitter has first mover advantage, and they have all the influential people using it. And I would argue their algorithm is better than a lot of other copycats. And so, although there's not necessarily a quote unquote moat, the moat, I guess, becomes the users. And the fact that they have all of them right now. Oscar's ripping. Okay, so again, Steve did an article on this. You guys can read it on a Seeking Alpha. Oscar up 8% on the day. I'm going to try to get a deep dive on this done during this month. Oscar up 7%, up another 0.5% currently right now after hours. And then Palantir right here, 140, 146 currently right now. Okay, cool. So let's go to a couple of things and a couple other headlines. First of all, FOMC, we got it on Wednesday. Let's get an update on what we could expect for that. And then I want to move to a couple other tech headlines that we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah, I think that's right, Scott. You have to essentially acknowledge, the Fed will have to acknowledge that the economic outlook's a touch brighter than it was before the last meeting. You have had some backing off of the tariffs. You don't know, though, what happens, as Megan was saying, when those deadlines are reached, the tariffs go back up, are they put back on? So that uncertainty will remain. The inflation numbers have been a little more positive. The Fed chair is going to have to acknowledge that. But I don't think any of that amounts to anything that would take the Fed off of its wait and see approach. And that's in part because most of the economists, Scott, that I continue to read and see their outlook, they still think that the tariff impact is coming. They've already seen some in the inflation numbers, but it's been offset by other things that have been helpful in terms of keeping the overall numbers relatively muted. But that could change come the summer. And I think that Powell is going to play for time, despite what has been really enormous political pressure from this White House for the Fed to cut rates.
I agree. And I also think that the broader implication around how the market is perceiving the tariff inflation story is still valid, because at the end of the day, we don't have enough deals. Now, there was an update with the UK, and Steimer in the UK in the G7 conference today told reporters that they are getting very close to a deal with the United States. Now, we already have like a framework deal, but like an actual signed document. And so that's a good thing. But, you know, you can definitely make the case that until we have a meaningful reduction of tariff rates, because we need to get the deals in order to get the tariff rates to go down, that inflation is still going to be elevated. Now, I don't think it's going to be 6 or 7% like the Michigan consumer sentiment says, but is it going to be sticky at 2 to 2.7? Yeah, probably. You know, even though super core PCE came in negative, and that should be the obvious indication we have to cut. So once Trump can tell the world, hey, we have all these deals done, and I'm reducing the average tariff rate that we have in all these worlds, the reciprocal tariff rates, all the way down to something way more reasonable, which is still going to be, multiples above what we've had for the past 10 years. But it's going to be enough to get JPOW to realize, okay, super core PCE is going negative, PPI is going negative, CPI is going negative, labor market's strong, and the trade deals are starting to relax. Maybe there's a world in which it's not going to be as big of a deal as the broader market thinks from an inflation perspective, which could be very important. Meta to unveil first smart glasses beyond Ray-Ban this week. Okay, that would be very big for Meta. That could be another reason why Meta is getting some love. We talked about that this morning. It's kind of expected that we thought that would happen. Yeah, Meta's first smart glasses beyond just Ray-Bans is coming this week, according to Bloomberg. There you go. They did tweet something this morning as well, saying that they were going to have an announcement soon on glasses. And there you go. How do you say the guy's name? Steimer? What do you say his name? Hold on. PM of the UK. How do you say it? Starmer. Why did I think it was Steimer? Starmer. Okay, my bad. Starmer. Of course, I got his name wrong. Of course, Starmer. Yeah, so Starmer getting a deal done with the US, which is very important. Okay, here's a better question. If you're in the UK, do you like Starmer? That's a more fun question than how do you say it? Do you like the guy? Do you like him or do you hate him? Who was he running against? He's the liberal, right? He was running against a conservative, right? He's a commie? Or who was the guy he was running against? Oh, Pierre. No, Pierre is the freaking Canada guy. See, it's hard to, it's barely keeping up with US politics. It's hard to keep up with the rest of the world. This is why it's hard to invest in other countries, bro. Like my uncle, he invests in India and the US, and it's hard to keep track of two global economies because all your investments depend on what's going on in those economies. And, you just have to stay up to it day to day to understand what's going on. So, Rishi soon. Oh, you're right. Rishi. Oh, my boy Rishi. I forgot. My boy Rishi was there. Yo, do people in the UK watch Piers Morgan? Is he like a big, like daytime, like you come home from work and you turn on Piers Morgan? Because his views on YouTube are wild, bro. This guy gets like 1 million views an episode. And usually when I tune into Piers Morgan, it's just a shouting match between someone who disagrees with someone else. But like, he's like heavily syndicated across the entire country, right? And I feel like he's like your like talk time daylight or probably like evening time talk show or whatever. But the guy's views are incredible, dude. I mean, he gets a lot of views. So let me know if you guys watch Mr. Piers Morgan. All right, let's talk about Tesla. So this article came out by the Business Insider today, and they kind of proved what everyone has been thinking about. Or sorry, Bloomberg Intelligence, not Business Insider. And here's what they said. So Bloomberg Intelligence says Tesla has logged 3 billion miles versus Waymo's 22 million, and with a crash rate of just 0.15 per million miles in Q1 versus Waymo's 1.16, the data suggests that it's much safer than Waymo. The article also went on to say Tesla has one thing Waymo doesn't: full car manufacturing, which is something, all the Tesla bulls have consistently said over and over. This means that lower cost and better scale. Tesla projects a 35,000 vehicle fleet by 2026. Elon thinks it can get to, in his words, hundreds of thousands by the end of 2026. We'll see if that happens, but Elon is pretty optimistic. Waymo is targeting about 2,000 by the end of 2026. Piers Morgan is the UK version of Tucker Carlson. Okay, understood. Got it. So, look, this was really bullish for Tesla because basically Bloomberg Intelligence said today, hey, everything that the Tesla bulls have been saying about the amount of data that they have and the level of proportional value that data has in terms of the actual software being better in terms of like self-driving, and that's quantified through the lack of crashes. That's the moat for Tesla. That is the moat for Tesla. I mean, again, dude, I took my dad to see the apartment yesterday. 45 minutes on the highway, lots of lane switches, lots of taking exits, tolls, all this stuff. Did not have to intervene once. It got the job done. So now, does it deserve to be worth $1 trillion when none of that's really making money for them yet? I mean, that's up to the market. And so far the market has said yes, but it also, probably doesn't need to go down to 200, given Elon already apologized to Trump, number one. And then number two, because at the end of the day, you're buying the future. You're buying the future. I mean, this chart right here is buying the future. And again, I am just learning about this whole Waymo Tesla debate. I have not been the biggest Tesla bull for the past couple of years. I am just learning what Waymo and Tesla looks like. And quite frankly, I was shocked when I heard Waymo has a couple thousand vehicles out there in the road. I couldn't believe it. Tanner told me for the first time they have a couple thousand. I was like, what? Because I knew Tesla had way more than a couple. I knew Tesla has millions of vehicles. And then when I actually had my own Waymo, the price was a bit ridiculous. And so it was one of those things where it's like, all right, this is not the most beautiful experience that I thought of. And maybe that is enough to get the market to just price in that future growth for Tesla and say they're going to take the market. 328.65 right here on Tesla currently right now. So that was the article that came out from Business or from Bloomberg Intelligence today that got a lot of people excited as well. SoFi, are we at 15 after hours yet? SoFi, 14.93. Holding on above that $14 range, but not under 15 yet. Cool. Okay, so that's what we got in the context of the Tesla update. And again, remember the other thing that's really important about Tesla is this following that Tesla has. There is an audience that is simply going to buy this dip, no matter how aggressive this dip gets. I mean, if you get Tesla at 250, 200, people are going to buy the dip. They want to buy the future, and retail has shown that month after month in terms of Tesla being one of the biggest allocated stocks to in the broader market. Another thing that's been getting some allocation is the broader equity markets based on retail flow. So here's a new update on retail inflows. Foreign into the U.S. assets are reaccelerating. Foreign purchases of U.S. assets are on track to reach $138 billion in 2025, the second largest on record, according to Bank of America. Since 2020, which has really been the start of this kind of 5-year bull market run we've had, $547 billion has surged into U.S. assets. $136 billion is the pace for 2025. This is the second highest after 2024. Now, there was a pause in buying, as you can see right here in this chart, and primarily that pause came from the tariff debacle that we had in April. But, that tariff debacle is over, and investors are now, once again, pretty damn excited about what they see in the context of broader U.S. equities. Lennar right here, I don't think we got their earnings yet. Let me see if it's out. I think it usually comes out at 4:30. Maybe it was at 4:20. Let me see if we get their numbers. This is the only company that's reporting today, and they are a home builder. By the way, that Microsoft story, we're still waiting to get more details on that, but it looks like OpenAI is having a little bit of an issue with Microsoft. So Lennar earnings are not out yet. Earnings per share, $194. The market's expecting revenue, $8.19 billion. That is what the market is expecting right here for Lennar. So we didn't talk about the Amazon and Roku partnership, but this happened last night. Amazon ads and Roku partnered. Roku was up 9% on the day. Let's see how it closed. Roku right here up, 10.4%. Kathy Wood still has, I think, a couple billion worth of Roku. So good day for the ARK ETF. Amazon right here up about 2%. And that could be a very good partnership for OTT ads in the context of being able to buy things from your TV. So I do think that's a pretty bullish partnership for both sides. And there's no reason Amazon shouldn't be doing that. ARK right here. Wow, ARK's up 4% on the day. Dude, how is ARK doing year to date? Because I haven't really looked at it. Year to date, ARK's up 14%. It's definitely outperforming the S&P. Definitely outperforming the S&P right here. And not doing too bad across the broader ETFs. Cool. So that's what we got right here in the context of ARK. I don't know if Kathy's back. She still has a bunch of, look, the main parts of her ETF, Coinbase, Robinhood, Palantir, Tesla have done very well. So from that perspective, it's been a good performer. There are some like Zoom that are still in there that, have not done the best. But regardless, some of the portfolio allocation might end up working in Kathy's favor. Okay, so let's pull up a couple of other things right here and look at a few other headlines. I think in about 5 minutes, we get Lennar. In about 5 minutes, we're going to get Lennar, and then we're going to see how those earnings kind of look up at. So one thing that I think is really important as well is the politicians and how they've been investing. So Tempest AI, again, had some more momentum today. Nancy Pelosi is up now 133% on those calls, or she's up more than 133% because her calls were in the money, and Tempest is up 133% from the trade. One of the interesting things here about some of the politicians is that they also bought Palantir. So take a look at this. Representative James Comer filed a single stock purchase after Trump was inaugurated, and it was a purchase of Palantir. Comer is the chairman of the House Committee on Oversight and Accountability. I don't think this guy actually knows anything about ontology. I don't think this guy knows about digital twins. I don't think he knows about anything that Chad talked about last week, MMDP. I think he saw Palantir, he saw Trump, and he said, you know what, there's going to be somewhat of a bid. Not to mention Marjorie Taylor Greene, also one of our biggest purchases in January was Palantir. So, we've been really seeing some momentum for the politicians. And again, the Stock Act, one of the reasons it might not end up passing is because politicians, they love to trade because they're able to get good info before. And I quite frankly don't care. I just want to see what they do in real time, not wait 10, 15 days to get the info. But that has been momentous for some of these politicians here as well. Okay, do we have any updates on Iran, Israel? Let me see. Let's see. Again, Iran state media said there would be some attacks later today. Iranian air defenses thwart attack on Iranian South Pars gas field. That's from an Iranian news website. That came out about 30 minutes ago. Okay, so we do have that update. Doesn't seem like we have the actual Iran attacks being deployed at Israel yet. Again, state media said that it was going to be the worst attack that Israel's ever seen. Likely they're trying to say that for some credibility. The question is if they will follow through on that or if it's going to be as aggressive as as the market was expecting. Okay, let me pull this up right here. Let's get this up and let's see if we can get some coverage of this as well. Mike Gallagher, we did not talk about digital twins on that podcast. We talked more about the CCP and Palantir from a defense perspective. But we didn't get into all the deep technical stuff as well. Amit, have you been seeing the Palantir is an evil company rhetoric? Yes. I mean, look, I've been seeing it. I mean, it's like, I don't want to say it's as bad as it was 2 weeks ago, but, it's still there. And either the story has legs and it's going to survive or it's going to die out. But, as of now, I don't think we can take it lightly that the story is still there. All right, let's get an update on some parts of the market along with Meta and Alphabet, and then we'll keep going from there. And I'll try to get a couple other details on Iran, Israel as well.
Based on forward estimates for several years until we got to this divergence recently where you get this premium valuation being placed on Meta and then Alphabet now at a pretty significant discount to the overall market and to its history. I'm a little bit hesitant, as anybody should be, when you're looking at big tech stocks and saying now they're cheap, because sometimes valuation hasn't worked that well. Microsoft looked cheap for a decade before it really found its second act.
Oh, we just got the update. All right, here we go. We just got an update from Iran. Here you go. Iran's Revolutionary Guard spokesman says Iran's strikes against Israel will continue until the morning. Okay. So they're being very open about how they're going to attack, when they're going to attack, the time frame on their attacks. I mean, you'd think they don't announce it if they want to attack so badly. But they are, apparently. Iran's Revolutionary Guard spokesman says Iran strikes against Israel will continue until the morning. That means they should be deploying their strikes now, at this moment. Time in Iran right now is 11:59 p.m. It's about to be midnight there. Look, if they go aggressive, we know what comes next. Israel's waiting for an excuse to go even harder. I mean, they didn't, they didn't look for an excuse when they did their preemptive strike, and they're not going to look for an excuse if Iran really targets them badly. The question is, if you're Iran, what is the logic here? How is this not just entering into a war that you can't win? And so I'm just a little skeptical, unless they have backing by other sides that we don't know about, which maybe they do. But as of now, it doesn't feel like that's the case. S&P 500, by the way, after hours, basically flat, 602.88. So still the market not really reacting to any of these headlines at all. Israeli news says U.S. is prepped to join within the last few minutes. Yeah, we're going to have to get a lot of sources right here to try to figure out what's going on. If this is starting within the night, then like for us all right now, over the next 3-4 hours, we are probably going to be seeing a lot of videos get uploaded from people in Israel if these missiles make it through the Iron Dome, which some of them have. I mean, some of them really have been able to make it through the Iron Dome, and it feels like, if I had to give a percentage just based on the videos I've seen, 75-80% effective. But there have been missiles that have struck, and the question is just how much damage did that do to Israel in general. Okay, let me see if I can get Lennar earnings, and then we'll keep going from there.
They've enjoyed in surge, and therefore, even if they kind of figure things out and can play defense and actually have their own growth initiatives in AI, is it going to dollar for dollar replace what they've had already? And I think it's really fascinating to me. I've mentioned it multiple times. I think it's amazing the market's willing to throw hundreds of billions of dollars onto Tesla's value because of robotaxi. Alphabet's got Waymo, right? Look at what the Netflix multiple is. They've got YouTube inside of it, right? But the market doesn't want to pay for the conglomerate that has sort of a play in all these areas. They'd rather go for the pure leverage.
Sounds like a breakup argument, but not that you were trying to make one. We'll see you in a bit, Mike Santoli. Thanks. Up next, we'll get a live report from the G7 summit in Canada. President Trump meeting with Prime Minister.
He is right about that. I mean, we talked about that in the morning, that Meta has one thing, ads. Google has a billion things, and the market's like, we don't really care. So you can make the argument for a breakup, but you could also make the argument for a very diversified business. Meta is not diversified even a little bit compared to Google. But still, the market not really giving a premium to any of that stuff either. Chat says Google is basically an ETF. Yeah, dude, I would agree. I mean, Waymo, YouTube, search, cloud, quantum. You got so many things they're working on. Now, the problem is the majority of the money comes from search and advertising. But isn't that the point of investing in growth stocks? You're pricing in a future multiple that reflects growth from all these other areas. It's just kind of like the market's thinking, no, Waymo's not going to keep growing as much, or cloud's not going to keep growing, or YouTube's not going to keep growing. And maybe the market's right about that. But what if they're not? What if they're wrong? And if they are wrong in a meaningful way, then that obviously could be an attractive opportunity for Google. Lennar earnings, I think we should be getting it pretty soon. It's 4:30. This is a Palantir client. Now, even if they are a Palantir client, unfortunately, the macro dynamics around interest rates and new home builds, new home starts, and ultimately demand and appetite to buy a home, that Palantir can't really control that. So the question is just going to be what the market looks like for their earnings. It looks like we've got some pretty big earnings bets. So you got about 400,000 or 500,000 of call options expiring this week in the options flow for Lennar. Strike is 111. Stock's at 108 right now. So market's definitely betting to an extent that this thing's going to have a little bit of a pump as well today. 109.59 currently right here on Lennar. YouTube isn't dying anytime soon. I agree. It is not. I've been in a cave for the past few days. What was the CPI jobs news? Labor market, we beat 139,000 jobs versus 125,000 expected. CPI 2.4 versus 2.5 expected. And then PPI was lower than expectations as well across monthly and yearly on core and headline. So if you've been under a rock for the past week, CPI, PPI, inflation has been amazing to the downside. Labor market has been strong to the upside, which is kind of the scenario that the Fed wants. They want to see inflation come down without the labor market being compromised. And so now the last thing that's left, quite frankly, is to get these trade deals done. And if that is the case, then we should be hopefully seeing more excitement from the broader equity markets, even though we've already seen a lot of excitement in terms of how the market's been pricing this in. SoFi right here, 1490, Meta 702.50. Again, Microsoft not really reacting to that Sam Altman news of him trying to, Sam Altman basically got rid of Elon Musk. So it wouldn't be crazy to see him try to get rid of Satya and try to do it again. Granted, I don't think Satya is going to go out as easily, but it wouldn't surprise me if he tried. Would not surprise me if he tried. Oscar is mooning. Oscar, is it mooning after hours? Oscar is, it's up 2.6%. I don't know if there's any news on it, but you're right. It is up 2.4% after hours. It was up 7% on the day, up another 2.5% after hours. I bet you when I call Steve and I ask, hey, did you buy Oscar after you wrote that article? He's going to say no. because he loves to write his little articles, and then he never ends up taking the position because for some reason he for some reason he gets scared to buy what he's bullish on. Like, I love Steve, but every time he writes an article on his site, he doesn't buy it. Like, if he had bought ELF at 51 when he published the article, it'd be up double. I think he likes analyzing companies, but when it comes time to like put your money where your mouth is, it's hard because, you know, his risk appetite is just not like as aggressive, you know. Now, granted, he owns a lot of stocks and he's owned them for years, but he tends to not be as risky when getting into a new position. Ask him how Intel is doing. That's another good question. But Intel's been stuck between 18 and 23 for so long. The news is Matt Money bought in. All right, there you go, folks. Breaking news. Matt Money buys in. Now, granted, it's on Matt Money's portfolio that you guys can see right here on the screen. There's Oscar. The only two red stocks he had today was EOG and ABCL. What were the red stocks I had today? Brick Gang ETF. I had only Duolingo. Everything else was green. Tanner was all completely green. Chris had the most red. He had 4 names that were red. Steve had 2 names that were red, MicroStrategy and CrowdStrike. And Matt Money buys into Oscar. There you go. He's in. He's in, folks. He is indeed in. When are we going to get news on what Grab does with their cash? I'm expecting towards the end of the summer, we should have a better understanding of it. And if not, definitely by the end of November. Again, this is going to be a question of when they announce what they're actually doing with it. The company's worth $19 billion. They have $9 billion in cash. Something's going to happen. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's one of those where you got to be patient enough to kind of see the overall thesis play out. I do think Q2 is going to be really good just based on some of the data they put out and based on the Southeast Asian data that has been coming out around ride sharing, mobility, et cetera. They kind of these aggregated databases on how the overall market is growing. So I think Q2 is going to be fine. Mobilities and deliveries GMV is already up 4% year over year compared to what it was last year. So then the question just becomes, what the hell are they doing with the money? And I don't know. I think Howard Marks bought it because he thinks they're going to do something with the money. But we just don't know exactly when. Lennar, are we moving? Lennar, do we have numbers? We do have a little bit of a green candle right there. Let's see if we have earnings. Let me know if anyone's in this one as well. Don't have the results yet. Market wants 194 of EPS and 8.19 billion of revenue. Is AMD up after hours? AMD? No, AMD's flat after hours. AMD was up because of the event, in my opinion. That event that they had last week is like starting to get priced in. There were a lot of bullish things that happened at that event, but I don't think there was any kind of fundamental reason why it was up. Lennar, again, up about 0.5% after hours. There's a little bit of movement. We'll see if we get any momentum. Someone was asking the other day, like, is Grab going to get hurt by FSD and like Tesla? I think the answer is no, because Tesla has to figure out FSD in North America first before they even think of going into Southeast Asia. I mean, for anyone who's in Southeast Asia right now, it's like India. Like FSD is just like, it's, FSD, like it's been 10 years and FSD still makes some mistakes. Granted, it's getting really good, but like the idea that it would operate inside of those densely populated regions with money that, people don't have a ton of disposable income there. So it's not really going to be a major revenue driver. It's a long time away. And if it is going to happen, I don't know if it's going to be Tesla. It might end up being Uber tried to get into Southeast Asia and they failed because they couldn't match the local needs of the region. So granted, Grab is hedging for this by already partnering with a bunch of AV companies. They have a ton of this stuff in the works already, but I don't see the FSD or robotaxi as a threat to Southeast Asia anytime soon. So from that perspective, I don't think it's the biggest thing to worry about. Yeah, and regulation. I mean, dude, Grab's barely going to be able to buy another company because of all the antitrust. The idea that Tesla comes in, and did you guys know the Indonesian prime minister? This dude is like a self-proclaimed socialist. Like he forces Grab and GoTo to pay holiday bonuses to their drivers. Like imagine Uber paying a holiday bonus to their drivers. Uber's not contractually obligated. Uber's, you have a 1099, you have an independent contract. You're not an employee to Uber. Even if you're an employee at a company, there's no obligation for the company to give you a holiday bonus. That's usually like negotiated in a contract or something. But the Indonesian government forces these companies to give out holiday bonuses because they're so on the side of the driver. And so the idea that Tesla would come in and just like nuke all these jobs, there's some governments that are going to be like, you're not coming in, bro. We're not letting that happen. And granted, their GDPs are not going to be as strong as the United States because we embrace technology, innovation, all that stuff. But nonetheless, I am not that concerned about FSD in Southeast Asia. So I think that's one thing that we also have to think about as well as we analyze it. Has AMD completed their stock buyback? No, I don't think so. I think AMD has a decent amount left on their stock buyback. Same thing with Nvidia. I think Nvidia has about 35 billion they can buy on it as well. Sunday says, yeah, it won't happen soon. FSD penetration into C will take a while. Dude, FSD penetration in the United States is going to take a while. Like there is no FSD yet outside of you paying 99. Like I should say robotaxi. There's no robotaxi yet because that's what really people are referring to when they say, there's going to be some network of cars that will replace the drivers. It's going to take some time. It's just going to take some time. So if it does take some time, I think we're going to have to wait until that plays out. Thoughts on RGC? Dude, this thing is crazy. We talked about it in the morning, but freaking they did a 53-for-1 split, I think. And if you had put 10 or 38-for-1, if you had put 10,000 3 months ago into this, you would have $10.5 million. This is insanity. I still don't even know what they do. What did they do? Like, what drug did they make? That's so amazing. Regencell Bioscience Holdings. What did they solve? This is, when I was investing in Purple Biotech, this is what I thought was going to happen. When I was investing in Purple Biotech in 2020, ticker symbol PPBT, I thought my measly 20,000 was going to turn into 50 million. I really did. I thought it was going to happen. And that 20,000 turned into 2,000, but it's just, and then the split today after the 38-for-1 split, because the shares became so much cheaper, people bought more. And so this thing was up 350% today, 72.99. Not even 250%, 350%. Look at this chart, bro. It was $1 on January 27th. It's at 72.99 right now. It's just crazy. What I keep hoping with for ABCL. See, the problem with hoping for this stuff is that you just never know when it's going to happen. So you have to stay in the stock forever. And 9 times out of 10, you could be wrong, right? And it just never happens. But for the one time that it does happen, like on an RGC, you literally go to the moon. You literally go to the moon. Yeah, we talked about JP Morgan and their trademark on stablecoin. That is something that was obviously very bullish for Circle right here, up about 14% on the day. The next stock I'm trying to do a deep dive on is probably Oscar. I'm going to see if I can get some people to talk about it. Maybe even Steve, if he feels comfortable enough to join, can talk about it. So that one, I know Lemonade's another one people are thinking about. Yeah, let me know some more suggestions in the chat. But Lemonade, Oscar, Circle, definitely would just love to know a lot more about, what the market sees in terms of these stable coins. So these are some of the next ones on the list. Redwire is tanking. Why is Redwire tanking? RDW. Oh boy, that's down 4%. This one gets compared a lot to Rocket Lab. They're in the same space. Oh, $200 million offering. There you go. These companies, they are taking advantage, which they should be. They should be taking advantage of this. I mean, if their stocks are going to be up 200-300%, they should absolutely be diluting and raising cash. So there you go. Redwire down 4% on some news of more dilution here. All right, let's get another update on G7, and then I will see if we can get these Lennar earnings that should be out, I believe, soon.
You a White House official officially confirming to NBC News that President Trump will not be signing on to any joint G7 statement that urges a de-escalation of tensions between Israel and Iran. There had been reports earlier today that while the G7 leaders aren't planning an overarching joint statement because of so many disagreements between them, that we might see issue-specific statements and that this could be one of them on Israel and Iran. The president now making clear through this official that he will not be part of any statement that urges that de-escalation. But the other big topic here, of course, is trade and tariffs, sort of the backdrop to every conversation that's been going on. And take a look, we can pull up here the size of the trade deficits with all of the G7 countries. And what you'll notice when you do see these is that all of these are deficits except for just one surplus, and that's the UK. And you'll remember, John, that only the UK of all of these countries is the only one with a trade framework in place to potentially avoid higher tariffs taking effect next month. Now, we do know the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer and President Trump are set to sit down together in the next hour sometime. We expect to see that on camera, and we'll bring that to you when we have it. But remember, they did announce this framework about a month ago in the Oval Office, Starmer on speakerphone, and some of the details of that agreement we got at the time were somewhat hazy and didn't go too much further than what we already knew. It was about increased market access for things like US beef and ethanol, the UK committing to buy $10 billion worth of Boeing products, quotas instead of tariffs on UK steel and aluminum, but the US was maintaining that 10% baseline tariff. At the time, John, that was announced, I was talking with a British official who was asked if he was disappointed by that deal. And he said at the time, and I'm quoting here, "If this were to stop here, I guess I would be disappointed, but I think there is a genuine appetite for more." That's what we'll be watching for ahead of this bilateral spray.
And we should be getting more details on that over the coming days. All right, so it looks like Oscar Health. We know the reason why that's getting some love, folks. Yeah, there you go, Oscar. Having some fun after hours. It looks like the Senate, there you go, up 6%. You can see that on the screen right here. The Senate tax bill is going to omit proposed cuts to the Medicare Advantage. Now, this was one of the big arguments that Mr. Trump had in regards to cuts on the new tax bill, right? There's a lot of spending, but some of those cuts are for illegal immigrants that are on Medicare. Now, I don't know if this is the exact cuts that the Senate tax bill is potentially omitting, but if that's the case, that is very bullish for Oscar because they get a lot of money from that. And is that bullish for UNH? UNH after hours, UNH relatively flat. Oscar, Steve's article goes more in depth into specifically why the Affordable Care Act is uniquely important for Oscar and why that matters for them more. But there you go. If that's the case, folks, then, I mean, we're going to have an even higher deficit because one of the things that was keeping the deficit somewhat tame, if you even want to call it tame, was that we were going to be cutting some parts of Medicare. If we're not even cutting that, if this is accurate in the Senate tax bill, which is the final bill that I think has to go back to the House and then officially goes to the Senate and then goes to Trump to be able to sign. They're trying to do that by July 4th. So they really have 2.5 weeks left to get this done. If that gets rid of those Medicare spending cuts, then there's really not going to be many spending cuts in this bill. And so the question's just going to be, what that ends up looking like at the end. Yeah, bullish crypto. I mean, Bitcoin is the theoretical hedge against the incredible levels of money printing. Actually, there was so I'm curious what you guys think about this. So Steve Eisman was on the Compound and Friends podcast, and he actually had some thoughts about the deficit and how everyone freaks out about it, but it really doesn't matter. I think his take was relatively, it made sense because when you look at it historically, every time people freak out about the deficit, there ends up just not being anything that really matters. So let's listen to a little bit of this. I think his take was, relatively normal. And the thing he said about Wall Street people virtue signaling about the deficit, I thought was also very interesting as well.
Time coming out of the crisis. Years. Yeah. All right. Let's talk about another tough area of focus. We wanted to start out with your opinion on one of the bigger stories of the spring. The deficit is back in focus. There was a really
it's not.
Okay.
It's not.
That's the
it's
premise.
Utter nonsense.
You could shoot it down.
It's utter nonsense.
Tell me why.
Take a look at a chart at the 10-year Treasury yield. It's been in the same range for the last 2 years.
30-year broke above 5% for the first time in almost 20 years.
Big deal.
Okay.
Who cares?
All right. I'd like to hear that.
5%.
He literally sounds like our Steve. He literally sounds like our Steve. He literally does not care.
So, look, let's do a thought experiment.
Okay.
Let's go back in time. Let's say it's 1999. And we're going to have 2 back-to-back guests on CNBC, which we all know and love.
Yeah.
Pete Peterson
Yeah.
and Steve Eisman.
Okay.
A much younger version.
Okay.
And Pete Peterson gets on and says, "Oi the deficit." He's the original king of the "Oi the deficit" crowd.
Blackstone co-founder.
He was a founder of co-founder of KKR.
KKR. Okay.
And the deficit, it's so terrible. It's growing. It's going to get worse. It's going to crowd out investment in the private sector.
Right.
The dollar's going to lose its reserve status. Interest rates are going to go up because people are going to not want our bonds. Cats and dogs are going to lie down together. It's the end of the world.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's his interview. And then Steve Eisman comes on, much younger, brasher version.
You could almost say Brad Pitt-esque.
Right. Well, my hair had no gray back then.
Okay.
And Steve Eisman says, "I completely disagree with Pete Peterson. I love the deficit. I want more of the deficit."
Okay.
Because we are the reserve currency of the world, and the entire financial system runs on treasuries. We can afford to have a much bigger deficit. And this business about crowding out is nonsense. There's going to be no crowding out. Interest rates are going to go down. And the U.S. economy in 20 years from now will be the most dynamic it's ever been, probably in our history.
Okay.
And that's my speech.
And then 6 months later, the market crashes.
And then leave that aside.
I'll just say.
And everybody thinks Pete Peterson, he's the man because he's the sage. And Steve Eisman's an idiot. Who was right?
You were right.
I'd have been right.
Still right.
And the way I think about the deficit is Wall Street's version of virtue signaling. People get on TV and they try to one up each other. I am against the deficit. And then the next guy says, he's not against the deficit. I'm so much more against the deficit than
I hate it most.
I hate it more than him. He's nobody.
Okay.
And
dude, I feel like he's so right about this. Have we not all seen this by some of these like big hedge fund managers that are like, we need to do something about our deficit is so bad, yada, yada. When in reality, I mean, these guys benefit the most from the deficit, and it kind of distracts from some of the stuff they're doing by getting people to focus on the government and Congress that doesn't have their shit together versus, the individual investors that are just trying to participate in the market. So from that perspective, I can definitely see his claim that although the deficit matters, it is one of the easiest things to show that you care about fiscal responsibility, when in reality, you know that nothing's going to be done about it.
And nobody ever asks the question, given all the agita around the deficit, why have none of these predictions ever even come close to happening?
Yeah.
And I think what they all miss is that the entire, like I hinted at before, the entire financial system of planet Earth runs on treasuries. You've got a multi-trillion-dollar repo market where banks lend to each other overnight. What is it? What's the currency? Treasuries. You're a sovereign wealth fund in Norway, and you need to park your money in some medium-term notes. What are you buying? You ain't buying Chinese bonds. You're buying treasuries. So the only way people should really start to worry about the dollar losing its reserve status and our interest rates going up because of the deficit is if there's an alternative to treasuries. Until there's an alternative to treasuries, this is all just
we found out there is.
What's that?
Stable coins.
Right.
We learned that.
We'll talk about that.
We learned that last week.
Because with Circle.
Yeah. Well, so is there no limit then? Why not? So why not propose a 10% annual budget deficit?
It's not that I think that having such a big deficit's a great thing. I just don't sit there and worry about it all that much.
What about the dollar being down 11% year to date? Concerning or normalization whatever. Okay. It's refreshing. Almost.
Bro, tell me that's not Steve. That is Steve. He's like, okay, cool, whatever. And it really is refreshing to hear him say that because, again, there is a legitimate concern to be had about fiscal responsibility or debt, the deficit, etc. But when Elon Musk can't do anything about it, when Doge meaningfully cannot even cut a couple $100 billion without that being just ramped up again in a different spending bill, it almost gets to the point where I think we have to accept this is a country that is going to spend. And the only real solution to that spending is more growth, more productivity, and every other country wanting to trade with us, which establishes the dollar as the reserve currency and, every country needing to buy treasuries because of that reserve currency status. And again, at the end of the day, let's say things get really bad. Whose debt do you want to buy? You don't want to buy Japanese debt. You don't want to buy Chinese debt. You don't want to buy German debt or Swedish debt. Like at the end of the day, you want to buy US debt. Now, could there be a world in which U.S. debt becomes so bad that people don't want to buy it? Maybe. I mean, this is what Dalio's been predicting should have happened for the past 15 years, and maybe he'll be right. But again, he goes on to say in that podcast, it was a good podcast. His argument is just like, we have the most dynamic economy on the planet. We have the most amount of innovation, the most amount of ideas, the most amount of technology, the most amount of risk takers. It's just hard. Like, an AI revolution starts in America. It's hard to imagine that dissipates over time. And as a result, maybe the deficit is not the biggest concern in the world. Where are these Lennar earnings, bro? Are they coming out at 5 o'clock? If they are, we got 5 minutes left. And I guess we should see them. But we don't have any numbers yet. If they don't come at 5, I think they'll come out at 5:30. But Enphase is down 8%. Why is Enphase down 8%? Why is Enphase tanking? What's going on? Why is Enphase tanking? Enphase down 8% right here. Did something happen in the Senate bill where they potentially added or got rid of solar subsidies? Enphase, let's see. This has to be a headline. There's no way this is just 7% down. I don't see the headline. I don't see one. Yeah, who owns Enphase? Put in the chat if you still own Enphase. Curious. Matt says, Enphase continues to go down. If only someone could have told me this 2 years ago that this would happen. Yeah, Matt and Chris were definitely not the most bullish on Enphase 2 years ago. Dude, what's the news? I don't see it. There's no convertible offering. I don't see anything. Down 7%. It has to be the Senate bill, right? Does TJ? I don't think TJ owns Enphase. He used to a while ago. I don't think he owns it anymore. Steve told it to go down. No, Steve, Chris, and Matt. These guys hated this stock for so many years. Like, they have just not been fans of Enphase. Dude, what is the news? I don't think there's any news. I don't see anything. I feel like it's a Senate headline, and we should be learning more about that headline soon if we get it. It's trying to recover a little bit right here. It was down 8%. Now it's down 6.3, but still down right here. Taz, thank you for the 50 super chat. The currency is R. What is the R currency? R currency to USD. What is R? South African Rand. Awesome. Thank you, Taz, for the 50 South African Rands. Hey, Amit, you should do a deep dive in Symbiotic. Congrats to you for your YouTube channel. Taz, thank you for being here. I will put that on the list on deep dives. So I have a bunch of stocks on the list. I literally am opening up my Google Doc right now. That's where I have all the lists. So I will put Symbiotic on there. Also Serve Robotics. I know people were talking about, so I'll put that on the list as well. And thank you for being here and for being part of the channel. Yeah, I think we have more than enough stocks to do 2 deep dives a month, if not more than that. So yeah, I think we'll be able to really expand that series as well. If you keep interest rates at 5%, auto and solar dies. Simple as that. Yeah, I agree. Dude, Enphase was never a bad company. Their growth was never bad either. It was a unfortunate event that we raised interest rates the highest in 40 years, and there were some casualties, and Enphase was a casualty. But before high rates, this thing was growing off the charts. I mean, it was insane. And this is a hardware company. And I mean, the gross margins on their microinverters were almost 50%. It was incredible. It's just when you raise rates that high, I mean, if someone knocks on your door and says, hey, do you want to get solar? Like, who's opening that door? Like, who's realistically going to talk with someone for an hour about investing in solar when oil prices are low enough where you don't really feel the difference or the need to invest in residential solar? And so I think that's been the biggest thing about this one. But as rates come down, hopefully over the next coming years, this one can still get some momentum. Are you on Discord, Amit? I am actually. So you know what I did today? It's funny you asked that. I exited every single Discord that I'm a part of, including Chris's Discord. And I love Chris's Discord, but dude, I am so tired of the notifications. I cannot stand the notifications. I have literally cleared out my entire Discord. I have nothing on Discord anymore, and I'm feeling much happier for that. Because I don't even check it, bro. It's just this app on my phone that shows this big number. And at some point, you need the mental clarity to just get out of them. So I'm out. I don't want to see any messages I am so done with Discord. I don't want to see it. So the reason this channel will never have a Discord is because I cannot stand having millions of messages. Number 2, monitoring a Discord is a full-time job. And I just don't have enough time to create content and monitor the Discord. Number 3, I don't want the hassle of dealing with monitoring a Discord because just, Discord has crazy stuff happen. People go back and forth. I mean, think of it as a group chat on steroids. It's like at 24/7. And then number 4, I'm not going to charge for it. Most people that do that, they charge $10 a month or whatever. I don't want to do that. So yeah, I'm done with Discord. I'm completely done, bro. I just don't want to be part of I've like so many group chats I'm a part of that I just don't want to be in, like on WhatsApp. Like I don't want to be in these group chats. I'm done. I'm so tired of them. I don't check them. What are they doing for my like? The only thing they're doing is annoying me every day, seeing a message, and then I end up reading it. I'm like, why am I reading this? This is wasting my time. It's completely wasting my time. So if you're not reading the Discord groups you're part of, I feel like you should just leave them. Like, because even muting them or turning them off doesn't really get the job done. Like, I just don't want to open it or see it. And so yeah, I'm done with Discord. But I do think I'm going to buy the stock if they go public, bro. Discord is number 4 on the App Store for social networking. I mean, this freaking company, the amount of, I am so curious to see their S1. I don't know if they're good at monetizing their users, but I know they must have upwards of 1 billion users. And if they don't have 1 billion users, they're definitely getting upwards of 1 billion messages a day that are being sent back and forth. It's not even getting too big to read group chats now. The group chats that I'm part of, I care about. Like, I'm in a group chat with Matt, Chris, Steve, and Tanner. I care about that group chat, so I read it. But if I'm in a group chat with 700 people in Chris's Patreon, like as much as I love Chris and I love his Patreon, I care about those people, I'm not contributing anything to that. I'm not even typing in the Discord. So I'm not even going through the channels. I'm not actively reading it. So like, why would I stay in that Discord? And there was like 7 other Discords I got invited to over the past year, like these stock market Discords. And I'm just like, dude, I don't talk in these Discords. So why am I here? You're such an introvert. Yeah, I'm an introvert. I'm an absolute introvert. It has an AI agent that says, Amit, we'll get back to you. Dude, where is this Lennar earnings, bro? It's 5 o'clock. Where's their freaking earnings? And Enphase is still down 7%. I think it has to do with the Trump bill. Are they just not going to put out earnings? Are we not going to know if they built any homes? I think the earnings are not going to be that good for Lennar, but still, we need to see it. Trump speaking. Is he live? Actually, I think you're right. I think he is live. He already spoke today a couple times, though. Is he live? No, I don't think he's live right now. Oh, there's a protest near the G7 summit, though. There is a protest happening right now, even if he's not live. Oscar after hours, yes, that one's mooning. We talked about that. It looks like the Senate is getting rid of their proposed cuts or whatever, or the proposed Medicare cuts, which is great for Oscar. So we're going to keep spending on Medicare. And that's why it's helping Oscar. There is a protest right here live happening right now. There was this whole No Kings protest. Did you guys see that over the past week? That was happening. There's been many protests in the United States that have been starting to flare up. There was a big one in LA, No Kings. I think it was in some other parts of the country. I didn't really understand the concept of it. I think it was the idea that they don't want to be under a dictatorship. And so they're calling Trump a king. And they're basically saying, hey, we should have no kings. Which is, well, it's quite intriguing. But yeah, it seems like they are now having some protests at G7 as well. Sun runs down 18%. Dude, so there has to be something in this Trump bill that's getting excluded or included last minute. Look at that, down 17% by the Senate. Where's First Solar? FSLR, that one's down 5%. SolarEdge, I bet, is down like 10%. SolarEdge down 11%. There you go, folks. This Trump bill, something's getting nuked after hours in regards to solar, which is causing some pain. Trump is not live. Trump is not live, by the way. He's not live. I don't see him live anywhere. So, and I doubt he would be live because he's at G7 right now. So he was live in the morning with Carney, but not anymore. The bill is ending a 30% solar subsidy. Didn't we know that already, though? Wasn't that like the reason these stocks were down when it passed the House a while ago was because of that subsidy, unless that is becoming like more confirmed now, but I think you're right. I feel like that. It feels like that's the case. Yeah, that's the headline. All these solar stocks falling at the same time. That seems to be the reason. I'm trying to get the exact wording of this subsidy, but there's no other way I think we could explain why this is happening right here. All right, solar getting hit. It's kind of old news though, right? Yeah, it's old news. So there you go. I still don't get why Enphase is the S&P. Yeah, I agree, dude. Not clue why Enphase is in the S&P. Is Trump talking? Let me see. Are we getting Bloomberg headlines from him? Is he talking somewhere? Oh yeah, he is. No, he's not talking. No, he's not talking anywhere. I think he's scheduled to talk later tonight or early tomorrow morning, but he's not talking right now. He's not talking right now. Give us a fun fact, Amit. Well, I told you guys this morning, I tried to be a rapper when I was in high school. So that's a fun fact. We do have a new video from Netanyahu from ABC. This came out about 30 minutes ago. Let's see this.
It's Tel Aviv, tomorrow it's New York. It's Tel Aviv, tomorrow it's New York. I understand America first. I don't understand America dead. That's what these people want. They chant death to America. So we're doing something that is in the service of mankind, of humanity, and it's a battle of good against evil. America should and does stand with the good. That's what President Trump is doing, and I deeply appreciate his support.
John Carl joins me now. So,
we do have Trump live. He's speaking with Stammer from the UK.
And I gave Iran 60 days, and they said no. And the 61st, you saw what happened. Day 61. So I'm in constant touch. And as I've been saying, I think a deal will be signed, or something will happen, but a deal will be signed. And I think Iran is foolish not to sign one.
Mr. President, Iran is accusing Netanyahu of attacking them to deliberately derail your nuclear plan that you had. What do you say to that? Do you think that's true?
No.
And
look, Iran should have signed the deal.
If it would help bring Iran to the negotiating table, would you guarantee that the U.S. would not get involved militarily?
Well, I think Iran basically is at the negotiating table. They want to make a deal. And as soon as I leave here, we're going to be doing something. But I have to leave here. I have, this commitment. I have a lot of commitments. I have a commitment to a lot of countries, including the UK, where we just signed our deal.
What will you be doing? Ukraine, Mr. President? When will
we're gonna let you have that information in a little while.
On U.S.-Russia talks, when will they restart?
They're starting already.
Mr. President, why did the European push to apply more sanctions on Russia? The U.S. support that.
Well, Europe is saying that, but they haven't done it yet. Let's see them do it first.
You told me earlier that you could sanction Russia. Why wait? Why wait to sanction them?
Because I'm waiting to see whether or not a deal is signed.
Can you guarantee the UK won't be subject?
And don't forget, sanctions cost us a lot of money. When I sanction a country, that costs the U.S. a lot of money, a tremendous amount of money. It's not just let's sign a document. You're talking about billions and billions of dollars. Sanctions are not that easy. It's not just a one-way street.
And just quickly, do you think that Israel can?
Is that still proceeding? Even if it's sort of working with that?
Yeah, we're proceeding with that. It's a really important deal to both of us. I think the president is doing a review. We did a review when we came into government, so that makes good sense to me. But it's a really important.
We're very long-time partners and allies and friends, and we've become friends in a short period of time. He's slightly more liberal than I am, to put it mildly.
We're slightly on the left.
But for some reason we get along.
We make it work.
Mr. President, was your just Ukraine get in the way of arming Israel?
There's quite a few British voters who worry and side more with the Russians over the Ukraine war. Can you reassure them?
No. I just, what I side on? Saving lives. I only care about saving lives. We have nothing to do with it except that Biden stupidly let us get into that mess and gave him $350 billion. $350 billion. And yet, despite that, you saw how we did in the Middle East. We took in $5.1 trillion. We have $15 trillion almost, looking around that number, going to be invested in the U.S. So the money is not the thing in this case. It's 5,000 young people are being killed every week in Russia, Ukraine. And if I can stop that, I'll be very happy. They're Ukrainian and they're Russian. So you could say, what am I doing? But I'd like to see if I could stop it.
Do you think that Israel can fully eliminate the threat that Iran poses, this nuclear threat that they pose, without the United States military help?
Who said that?
No, I'm asking if you believe they can without
It's
help.
irrelevant. Something's going to happen.
Have you spoken to the
Consider traveling to the Mideast as part of any talks if it would help broker a deal?
Yeah, but I think we're doing pretty well. We're talking.
You don't think
We have a thing called the telephone, so we're talking. But it's always better to talk in person.
Mr. President, do you see regime change in Iran?
I want to see no nuclear weapon in Iran, and we're well on our way to making sure that happens.
We had a discussion about that this morning. There's a in the G7 absolute clarity in relation to the nuclear program. We do not want to see it.
Mr. President, do you have a response
about future tariffs?
What?
So Starmer as well, as you can see right here, he's saying, hey, we don't want this either. Again, this is why I think markets are up right now. You got Starmer, you got Carney, you got all these allies saying, we've got Israel's back. We are not going to let them lose. Who the hell is sticking up for Iran? Who? Nobody. No one in the Middle East, not Russia, not China. So if they try to strike, they're going to get hit hard. And I think they know that. And unless they want the regime to be toppled, I think markets are basically saying, all right, this is going to be over. And there may be still some back and forth, but it's not going to escalate to be something as dramatic.
Can you guarantee the UK will be protected from any future tariffs?
The UK is very well protected. You know why? Because I like them. That's why. That's their ultimate protection. Thank you very much. The Prime Minister's done a great job. I want to just tell that to the people of the United Kingdom. He's done a very, very good job. You know, he's done what other people, they've been talking about this deal for 6 years, right?
6 years.
And he's done what they haven't been able to do. So he's done really a very good job.
Do you have any response to Tucker Carlson criticizing you, saying that you're complicit in the war?
I don't know what Tucker Carlson is saying. Let him go get a television network and say it so that people listen.
And quickly, have you spoken to Zelensky before your bylaws?
Yeah, a lot of them.
Japan?
That was UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer and President Trump speaking at the G7 meeting in Canada, talking trade, Iran and Israel, Russia and Ukraine, and much more. Let's get straight to Megan Casella, who's got all the headlines from Canada. Megan.
Absolutely, Melissa. That's not the first time we've seen the president on camera today. Had quite a few chances to see him, but it is the first time in the last few hours that we heard him there making some news, as you mentioned, on Israel and Iran, saying Iran is foolish not to sign a deal. He also said, and I quote here, Iran is basically at the negotiating table where they want to make a deal. And as soon as I leave here, we'll be doing something notable there, especially as markets were up today on hopes that there might be some ongoing negotiations and the Iranians might be coming to the negotiating table to strike some sort of an agreement. He's keeping that hope alive there. He also wasn't committing to sanctions on Russia. That's something that came up earlier today. A reporter asked if he'd be willing to put sanctions on Russia. At the time, he said it could happen. Today, just now, he was again non-committal, saying sanctions cost us a lot of money. He didn't seem yet ready to be making that step. Then finally, he also was saying that they had signed a trade agreement with the UK. He was saying at the end there, a deal, negotiations that they've been working on for the past 6 years or so. And Melissa, you'll remember this framework of a trade agreement, not a fully fledged deal yet, but this framework was first announced in the Oval Office just about a month ago. It gave up a little bit on both sides, market access for U.S. products like beef and ethanol, while the U.S. was keeping its baseline 10% tariff in place. In exchange, the UK could send some cars to the U.S. without as high of a tariff and was committing to buy some products to Boeing as well. That's what we expect they signed today, sort of formalizing that, because remember, Keir Starmer, the prime minister, was not in the Oval Office for that. So advancing the ball a little bit further. Trade, of course, Melissa, being the backdrop to so many of these conversations today. And I'll flag just one last piece of news is just before this meeting that we saw with Starmer, the president also sat down with the president of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, the White House says, at the EU's request. So that's, of course, a major deal we've been waiting for. We don't have a readout of that meeting just yet, but we can confirm that the two leaders did meet. Melissa?
And on top of that, he threw some shade to our boy Tucker. Tucker did go off on him on the Olin podcast based on the essentially support that the U.S. has been showing Israel for these strikes that they launched on Wednesday night. Lennar, still no earnings from this one. I don't think it's coming out till like 5:30 at this point. But there you go. So Trump essentially saying three main things. Hey, we are on our way to making sure Iran does not have a nuclear weapon. Once I leave G7, we'll do something with Iran. And then 3, Iran is basically at the table ready to sign a deal, implying that he says it's going to be over soon. That is Trump's take on everything that's going on right now. Who believes him? Who believes that he thinks that by the way, Oscar up 7% after hours. Who believes that Trump actually is telling the truth in terms of being able to de-escalate this entire situation? I'll put a poll in the chat if you believe him. I don't know, man. I don't know. But again, logically, I don't know how Iran fights back that aggressively. Do you believe Trump is going to get a deal done soon with Iran? Let me know what you guys think. Okay, having said that, so someone just now messaged me. You guys are so awesome, bro. Shout out to Crypto Hunter on X. I'm going to post their X right here in the chat. You guys can follow them. They just sent me, they might be watching the stream right now, so thank you for sending this to me. They just sent me the 2025 stock draft like updated start price, end price, initial investment with $1,000 going to every single ticker. Again, this is essentially what Steve's model is like. So it's pretty much the same thing, but he built this out right here. And we can keep track of this every day to see who's winning. So far, Chris, I think he's using Mondays or Fridays closing prices because Palantir, he starts at 137.40. So I think he's using Palantir's or everything's closing price on Friday. Matt has the highest ROI right now, 3.5%. I'm number 2 at 3.1. Steve's number 3 with 2.13. Tanner's number 4 at 3.0. Oh, Tanner should be first. Oh, this is not in order. So Matt's first. I'm second. Tanner's third. Steve is fourth. And Chris is last so far after one day. So there you go. Okay. I'm going to see if this matches up with Steve's model because I don't think there's that much of a difference because it's equal weighted. As you can see, it's $1,000 to each stock. So there's literally no, even if, one stock is really good versus the others, if everything gets 1,000, then it's all going to even out at the end based on the aggregate performance. So we can look at this every day at the end of the day and track who's up or down. Okay. Poll in the chat. 53% of you say yes. You agree with Trump. Dude, I kind of think logically he's right. I mean, I just don't know. If Iran's going to really be able to fight back that aggressively. I think they're going to hit some. I think they're going to shoot some missiles. The question is going to be, are they going to shoot it to the Iranian state media headline of like the worst thing that Israel has ever seen? I don't know. I don't believe that as easily as I think someone else would believe. And again, I would believe it if freaking Iran and if Russia and China were saying anything, but Russia and China aren't saying shit. They're not giving any level of support. The Saudis aren't saying. I think Pakistan said today that we will help Iran. Well, dude, what is Pakistan going to do? Realistically, I mean, like Pakistan is not the biggest player from a geopolitical perspective, and Pakistan knows they don't want to damage their relationships with the West for Iran. So it's like, I don't know if they really have any people on their side here. And again, I do believe Iran will attack Israel tonight. I just don't know if it's going to be something that is going to be as aggressive as what the state media says it's going to be. And if it is, I mean, they got to be ready for what's going to come back. Because there obviously will be some type of attack. It hates Pakistan. That's why, dude, just because I'm Indian, I don't hate Pakistan. I don't even know why Indians hate Pakistan. That's how uneducated I am on India, Pakistan. Like if I asked like my grandpa or something if he likes Pakistan, he'd probably say no because like they're just like ingrained in their old ways at this. But I don't know why. Like I've never thought as an Indian I should do research on why Pakistan and India hate each other. I've just never cared, bro. I really never cared. I've really never cared. Like this type of rivalry never interested me of learning the history about it. I mean, I cared like from a historical perspective to know about it, but I never cared enough to because I have some like personal thing where I need to know if I hate the Pakistan. Like I don't care, dude. Like when people see me, they think Muslim, they think Pakistan, they think Arab, they think Indian. Like people see me, they kind of all see us as the same, quite frankly. There's not that much of a delineation from the world's perspective. So I just never cared that aggressively on it. Yeah, the energy credit provisions have changed in the U.S. Senate bill. There you go. That's a simple argument for why solar is getting hit as aggressively as it's getting hit right now. Iranian state news agency just said air defenses are highly active in Tehran, so they are anticipating an attack soon as well. I think this night we should all stay glued to the news for the next few hours. I do think there's going to be some updates back and forth on Iran, Israel. We'll see how that affects futures. But I mean, maybe this is all over after a couple other exchanges versus escalating to be that bad. Lennar earnings are not out, folks. I don't know. We'll wait the final 10 minutes and see if we get them at 5:30. But they're not out right now. The arbitrary boundary created to form Pakistan and India back in the 40s, 50s, where many families were left in limbo for decades. Dude, everything comes down to borders, doesn't it? Every big fight, it's either religion or borders. And it's usually the border first that separates the religions, and then the religions go back and forth. Like it's always about land. It's always about land. Private property. Can you make a poll of what people think will happen to the stock market if a nuke is dropped? Okay, I don't think we need to make a poll for that because the answer is the stock market will be nuked. You know what I'm talking about? I had to take that one. You let me walk into that. I had to take that one. But dude, if anyone drops a nuke, bye-bye to the stock market. I don't care if it's Pakistan. I don't care if it's India. I don't care if it's Russia, China, the US. Anyone drops a nuke, if it's Israel, like we're done. And it doesn't have to be a nuke dropped on the United States. It could be a nuke dropped anywhere around the world. Last time we dropped a nuke was Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I mean, that, and that was to basically end out World War II. I mean, if someone drops a nuke, granted, is Oklo going to go? All right, put in the chat. What's the first stock you buy if we drop a nuke? I think it's Palantir, bro. How do you not buy Palantir if freaking someone drops a nuke, bro? I think you liquidate your whole portfolio and you go all in Palantir. Because I mean, like, dude, what's left? What's left at that point? Palantir, right? Yeah, it's freaking Palantir. It's freaking Palantir. Wind and solar tax credits will begin to phase out in 2026 and will receive zero investment tax credit. There you go. That's why N phases down. Nuclear, hydropower, and geothermal will see tax credits extend to 2036. So the trade has been short solar. Solar Edge down 20%. Enphase down 13.5%. First Solar down 7%. Sunrun down 21%. Short solar and go long nuclear. Oklo's up 1.3% after hours. NNE down a little bit, was up 14% of the day. And then SMR as well, up about 1%. It was up 9.45% of the day. That seems to be the trade based on this bill. Okay, everyone's saying gold, Palantir, Home Depot. Why would you buy Home Depot? If we get nuked, why would you buy Home Depot? This is actually a fun game. Put a stock and then try to justify why you would buy it if we get nuked. All right, so if we get nuked, or if there's a nuke dropped and you need to buy Home Depot, well, a nuclear weapon, it would mess up some homes, right? Like, you probably need to rebuild some homes, right? I mean, that makes sense for the rebuild, right? There you go. You got to rebuild everything. Okay, that makes sense. Lennar, yeah, you'd probably need to rebuild some homes as well if that happens. Nike, how do you justify Nike? I don't know. How do you justify Nike if we get a nuke dropped on us? Fartcoin, there will be a lot more gas from a what do you call it, a radioactive perspective, so that could help Fartcoin. Dude, Netflix is gonna make a killer documentary on whatever nuke gets dropped, so I think you buy Netflix there. Charmin, dude, is Charmin public? Is that part of PG&E? Who owns Charmin toilet paper? Is it part of PG&E? Yeah, PG&E. All right, so you buy Procter & Gamble. We're going to need some toilet paper if that happens. Dude, if we, no, in all seriousness, dude, if a nuke gets dropped, this market's over. Like this, like we're done. So I think we can make fun of it because it is so hysterical if it were to happen that it wouldn't make sense to invest, bro. I mean, like we're done. Now, granted, would we be able to recover from it? Yeah, unless it turns into World War III. But still. But still, it would be bad. Costco, dude, Costco is probably going to get a valuation multiple expansion when we get nuked. 3x levered S&P. Tesla, yeah, there's got to be some bull case for Tesla if we get nuked. There's got to be something. Dude, it would be bad if a nuke is dropped on this planet since we haven't, in what, 70 years? I don't know how there's anything bullish. Scott, I still don't see Lennar. By the way, Scott, I missed your comment. What was the business you bought this morning? I missed your comment if you answered it. Lennar in 5 minutes, maybe at 5:30 it comes out. If not at 5:30, then we'll just talk about it tomorrow morning. But we'll give it 4 more minutes and see if it comes out. Elf. Okay, maybe makeup to repair the skin damage, dude. Amid streaming the market open in a hazmat suit. Dude, I want to dress up like the Breaking Bad guys for Halloween next year or this year. I feel like, what should be my Halloween outfit, bro? I feel like last year I didn't get a good Halloween outfit. I feel like I was gone during Halloween or something and I didn't have a good outfit. I want to do some crazy outfit this year. I want to do a crazy outfit. Maybe I can dress like an Optimus robot. Maybe that would be cool. 5% short QQQ. I wonder if people would even have time to short the market. I wonder if the New York Stock Exchange would just like pause trading for like weeks. Like would you even have would there even be liquidity to go short? Because to go short, imagine someone's going long, and if everyone's going short, then I don't even know. Like you would need to have some people that buy. you need to have some people who buy the dip, who buy the nuclear dip. And given retail always buys the dip, maybe we're going to be the liquidity. But goodness, dude, it'd be so crazy to see how that ends up playing out. Check your text. Oh wow, this is cool, Scott. This is a cool business, bro. Yeah, this is a very cool business. I can show people if you want me to show people. This is a really cool business. All right, it's a retail store. I'll say that. And it is a product that I think will be, that quite frankly will always be in high demand. This is cool, dude. Congrats, man. This is awesome. This is going to be consistent cash flow for a very long time. Was Adobe up today? Was Adobe up? Adobe was down on Friday, 7%. They got upgraded to 550 or 530 from one of the firms. So about 3% on the day. Yeah, this is a cool business, dude. If you want me to tell people, I will tell them what you bought. If not, then I'll keep it private. But guys, you bought a strip club. No, I'm just kidding. Dude, do strip clubs really make money? Do they actually make money? I feel like all these clubs make money on the alcohol. That's pretty much it, because they charge you an arm and a leg for the alcohol. But everything else is just to get you to buy the alcohol. Like that's where their margins get. Even restaurants, like when I was at a steakhouse and we were at Animal in Toronto, and I was talking to one of the guys who was with us. He's like best friends with the owner, and I was like, are there good margins on steak? And he's like, nope. The only way this place makes money is the alcohol. The steak is just to get you to buy the alcohol. And I was like, wow, that's incredible. So you can show it if you want. All right, cool. So ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Scott, who has been, for those that don't know him, he's been a friend of the channel for years. He's been following me since 2022. Got to meet him in Vegas. Hopefully, Scott, I can see you in Vegas in October when we go there again. Folks, he has bought a vape and tobacco store. There you go. Vape and tobacco. So I like this because, number one, cigars, vaping, cigarettes. I mean, that stuff is never going out of business. More people are vaping now than ever. Like, people love vaping. People have loved vaping for the past couple of years now, to be honest. And if you vape, then you're passionate, which I don't know if you do, Scott. I think you do if you vape. But if you do vape, you know, you're probably relatively passionate about the space, which means from a marketing perspective, handling customer orders, inventory, all the stuff that a business owner needs to do, you know, you're actually going to care about the product that you're selling as well. So I love it. I love it. Congratulations. Absolutely incredible. I want to open up a coffee shop one day or a bakery. Something that like something with like a sweet tooth. I want to open up one day. I think I have to open up a Dunkin' Donuts because I'm Indian. I feel like I have to fulfill the prophecy. I think I need to open up a 7-Eleven and a Dunkin' Donuts to fulfill the prophecy of my existence as a Indian American. And then after that, I have to go get a job at Google. Like if I do those 3 things, I could say, and then I probably got to be a doctor at some point. If I do all 4 of those and a Subway. Dude, it is, by the way, we're still waiting for Lennar earnings. We should get it like now at 5:30. It is incredible to me. Every time I go to a 7-Eleven, whether it's here or it's Canada, it's an Indian, bro. We found a way to buy all of them. Like literally all of them. Like, do you know how rare it is for an Indian to be like a YouTuber? Like this, like we had a bunch of Indian aunties and uncles come to my dad's birthday party and on Friday. And you know, now they kind of understand what I'm doing, but for the past couple of years, like when my mom used to tell them like, oh, he's like a YouTuber, they'd be like, what do you mean a YouTuber? What does that mean? Like, what are you talking about? And she's like, oh, he like gets on YouTube and he talks. She's like, but that's not a career. And she's like, well, that's what he's doing. And now they kind of understand it because like they've kind of seen some of the growth. But realistically, bro, Indians, we either go to Google or we open up a 7-Eleven. Like it's really that simple. Or we become a doctor. That's it. Or we have a motel, exactly. Solar's crashing because the solar subsidy is being phased out by 2026 in the new tax bill. And all that money is going to nuclear. That is going to be up until 2036 in terms of investment credits. And that's why all the solar stocks are crashing right now. And I'm not saying there's not any Indian entertainers and stuff like that in the States, but like, you know, most Indians, they do not go the entertainment route. Just, yeah, dude, my dad bought a liquor store. My dad had a liquor store for 20 years. He had a liquor store. I learned about all the liquor brands and beer brands, Heineken, Jack Daniels. I learned about that stuff because I used to walk back and forth in the aisles and see that stuff like 3-4 hours a day when I came back from school. Hassan Minhaj is an entertainer. That's correct. I mean, look, there's some of them that are out there. They're just not. There's not a ton of them. Oh boy. Hold on. Let me check this real quick. That's so weird. Okay. Really? This is the video? Okay, so X just sent me a notification saying you got a DMCA complaint, which means you've been they locked my account for a second and they just unlocked it. Dude, they really disabled this video. It was the Palantir video from CNBC. All right, folks, if you're on Twitter, don't post CNBC clips. You might get taken down. So CNBC flagged that video. That's so annoying, bro. It was a 30-second clip of Karp talking on CNBC on Friday. Yeah, dude, Twitter started to crack down a lot more on DMCA. Meaning if you post stuff that's like not yours, they could flag your account. And so it's important to kind of make sure you don't do that. That's so weird though. That's dumb, right? That's a simple one. I don't know why they flagged that. Lennar, do we have earnings yet for Lennar? No, not yet. I don't think this thing's ever coming out, bro. I think they let us. I think CNBC doesn't care if you stream some of their clips because it's just like free marketing for them. And because people are curious, like where this content comes from, and they discover CNBC. And also, I think they're recognizing there's new age finance content creators that, you know, CNBC is going to die out unless, you know, they ingratiate themselves into the new age of finance, which are YouTubers. And so that's why I think they don't care if you like stream a couple of their clips. It's not like we're watching CNBC all day. It's like if Tom Lee comes on for 5 minutes, you know, we'll watch what Tom Lee says. But That's weird. They've never done that to my account. And so I guess they're cracking down on X right now. Okay, cool. So yeah, that is it. Lennar right here, 109.49. That one not moving. I don't think we get earnings today, folks. Or if we do get earnings, it's a while ago. It's later throughout the day. White House, with respect to steel and aluminum, Secretary Lutnick will determine quota of products that can enter into the U.S. without being subject to 25% Section 232 tariffs. Okay, so that's Taco again. That's Taco again. That's Trump. that's Trump giving Lutnick the green light to be able to get rid of some products that could theoretically be subject to those 25% tariffs. What is actually a good thing for the inflation rate, but yeah, that could be a little bit of taco for some of these products that will avoid the tariff, which is good. Ori, thank you for being here, man. Watching from my shelter. Ori, I know Ori's in Israel right now. Stay safe, brother. Hopefully you are doing okay. And yeah, thank you for still being here, watching all the way from the shelter. Comedy, thanks for the super chat. Follow the path of your father, but with your own touch, buy a mocktail store. That would actually be hilarious. Buy a mocktail store. That would be wild. Alcohol? Do you buy alcohol stocks if we get nuked? People are going to drink their pain away, maybe? Maybe that's what you do. Amit, where is Bay Ray? I think, dude, he's just been busy. Yeah, I think he hasn't been tuning into the streams as much just because he's been super busy. He has like his own little side business and he's doing stuff every day. But I still talk to him. Still super cool. Do the Pacers? He's been gambling on this Pacers thing. Do they play today? Pacers OKC. Today's game. Oh, it's tied up 2-2. Dude, this NBA Finals, although I know these teams have been exciting, like just their actual basketball, the ratings have not been the best because obviously it's not like LeBron or anything. So, you know, it hasn't been the most watched NBA Finals either. Anyway, what was I saying? I was saying before X almost banned my account. I was saying, yeah, like I think Indians, they go down the doctor route, the engineer route, or the business owner route. Very few of them go down the entertainment route. And that's not fair to just say Indians. And most people in general don't go down the entertainment route because it's hard, right? Like it's a totally different career path. But it's also just not something that's really, recommended to Indians from their family or their parents as like something they could do. They definitely don't go down the sports path. That doesn't happen. I tried. I really did. I really did. I left debate to join the basketball team in 9th grade. And then I went back to debate in 10th grade because I was like, yeah, I'm not getting that much taller. So I tried, bro. I really did try. But it didn't work out. Are you investing in Misty with your dividends? I mean, I don't know if it's really with the dividends. I have 500 shares. Originally, I had a 250 share position. Now I have a 500 share position. My average is 21.56. I'm down $200 on the core position, and I've made about $380 in dividends. So yeah, I am investing the dividends, but I'm investing even more than just the dividend itself. I want to get it to like about 25,000 by the end of the year. So I'll try to get like another 1,000 shares over the long term, but yeah, that's how I'm playing Misty. As far as out in the chat, what did he say? As far as out here, I've been sick. I've been sick for 3 days and the stream just healed me. Farzad, are you actually sick? Dude, I hope you feel better. I've been seeing your tweets on, someone put out a study on Uber, and Farzad has just dug through that study over the weekend, and he's posted a lot of content about, Uber. And he found this quote from Travis, who's the founder of Uber, like a couple of years ago, right, Farzad, where he said Uber will fail if we don't develop our own supply of autonomous vehicles. That was kind of the gist of the quote. So his Uber is dead thesis, I don't know if it's going to be true, but he definitely is starting to feel that if Uber can't fix the supply side, there just might not be a broader vision for growth in that company. How'd you get sick? Was it your kid? Was it your baby who made you sick? 2015, right? He said this 2015, bro. Travis has known for a long time the future is autonomy. I want to see if I can find that clip where freaking Travis tells a driver to his face that his job's going to be gone. Travis Uber audience question. I remember seeing this a couple of years ago. And I was like, dude, I can't believe he said that. It was with J-Cal. It was at some freaking... Oh, is this it? It was at the launch festival. I want to see if I can find it. But Travis is the founder of Uber. But he's known this for a long time. He's known this for a long time. Leonard, did we get any earnings? No, we got no earnings. I don't know when this stock does earnings. Obviously, it's not right after hours. The UK deal just signed. Yeah, that's basically what Trump and Starmer were saying just now when we watched them. So it makes sense that that deal is getting signed. That's a good one though. I've been sick in the streams. Helped heal me. I gotta show that to my parents and show them that I'm becoming a doctor in that way. Dude, to be honest, I have so much respect for doctors, so much respect, and we need so many more of them. Like, and I think AI is only going to be AI. I think that's the one thing doctors. I think doctors are not going to be replaced. I think AI genuinely is going to hypercharge doctors to be successful. I just personally could not imagine. There's this one girl who came over our house the other day for my dad's birthday, and she's in med school right now. She has like another 7 years. I could not imagine spending 12 years of my life dedicated to being a doctor and going through med school and all these advanced sciences and then residency. Like, I genuinely like. That's why I have so much respect for people that do it, because it's so freaking hard. And I also have a business mind, and from a business, it was so funny because how old is she? She's like 19. No, she's like 21, and she just opened a Robinhood for the first time. And she was like, hey, can you help me like understand what Robinhood's like? Because her mom started using Robinhood, because my mom started using Robinhood. So my mom told her to get on Robinhood. So now her daughter's using Robinhood. But she's a medical student. She doesn't care about investing. So she opens up Robinhood and she's like, so what is this? And I was like, so these are stocks. These are companies you can buy. And she's like, so how do I buy it? And I was like, so you go to Amazon. It's like, and I tried to give a very base, like, do you think Amazon's going to be here in 10 years? She's like, yeah. I was like, okay, so you can start off with putting a couple bucks in Amazon, right? Because you can do the fractional shares and all that stuff. And it was so foreign to her. She's like, what is this? Like, what's going on? Like you can buy Amazon. Like, she had no understanding of it. So I mean, the point I'm trying to make is my mind from a very young age was so business oriented, which is why I tried a ton of different business ideas and stuff. And it was never like, medicine oriented, lawyer oriented. I want to read law school papers and case studies and medical theses. Like, I always was like, how do we make money? But not just how do we make money, how do we build something? Because again, it's never really been about money per se. It's been about, what can I provide as a product or service that gets out into the world that can also be eventually monetized? And that's kind of been the route. And again, if it was about money, I think there's a lot cheaper ways to get to making money, especially in this business, right? The private discords, the courses, all that shit. So it's never really been about money. It's more about how can the performative side of me is like, how can I perform, which is what I do every day, and then how can I eventually turn that into a business? But it's always been like, how do you keep going forward immediately? Not how do I have this 12, 20-year vision of like becoming a doctor, a lawyer, etc. I just never, I was never super attracted to that vision. But for the people that are, I'm incredibly impressed, bro, because you got to go through a lot of shit for 12, 15 years to become a doctor and then have hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt. But that's why I think if you become a doctor, I don't think it's for the money. Right? I hope it's not for the money. If people go down the doctor route, I hope it's for genuinely you want to help people, because there's a lot of other ways to make money. And if you're the best of your craft, like you become a world-class surgeon or something, yeah, you're going to make a lot of money. Or you become a plastic surgeon, etc. But if you become just emergency physician, you're not making that much money where it's worth 15 years of sacrificing your life and all that stuff, unless you really love to help people. And so I think that should be the main focus if you're going down that route. White House says United States intends to create an annual quota of 100,000 vehicles for United Kingdom automotive imports at a 10% tariff rate. Okay, this was actually something they kind of announced in that framework that they showed us a month ago. So this actually makes sense. Just moved my girlfriend's money to Hood based off your stream. 1 new gold subscriber. Well, Hood added 115,000 last week. So it looks like the gold subscribers are ramping up. By the way, Hood's going to have an event tomorrow on X. I'll be streaming it on YouTube as well. But it's like some new product demo event. Dude, I hear the story all the time. A lot of people are deciding to just move on to Hood and give it a try. And but see, this is what I mean by user interfaces emote, because even she was still confused. What does she do on the app? Imagine giving her a Schwab or Fidelity. You know, this 21-year-old girl, she would just be like, what is this? You know, even on Robinhood, it was kind of confusing to her because like you need to have these products to be super intuitive and easy for people to grapple with. And if not, they genuinely, people might be barred from the ecosystem of investing if they don't have the technology to access it in an easy way. Now, some people might say that's a bullshit reason for why people shouldn't invest or why people don't invest. And I would say, sure, because obviously if anyone's internally motivated, they should be able to do the work to open up an app and figure it out. However, in reality, a lot of people just don't want to, learn all the nuances of some complicated product. They just want to be able to get into the game immediately. And I think that's what Robinhood does. All right, we got Lennar. Do we got it? We've waited so long for Lennar. Do we got it? Oh boy, that is down 1%. Why are you guys saying huge red candle, bro? That's not a dump. That's not a dump. It's down 1%, bro. 0.45. That's nothing. Do we even have the earnings? Did it even react on that? Goodness, bro. Let me see. Let me see if we got the earnings. I don't even think. Do we even have it? That's nothing, bro. That's not even a reaction. I don't see the earnings yet. So if we do have the earnings, they should be coming out soon. But that's okay. Cactus has it. Lennar sees third quarter deliveries 22,000 to 23,000. Estimates 23,674. So that's a miss. Lennar 2Q EPS 181 versus 345 year over year. That's a miss on EPS. Still not dumping because it's already down 12% year to date. What's the revenue? The revenue the street wanted 8.19 billion. What did we get on revenue? Don't see it yet, but it looks like that either is a miss or it's flat. Lennar's delisting. Yeah, the dump was totally priced in. All right, so no one cared. We know they're not making a ton of homes. We know they're going to miss on new home starts. They need rates to come down. And until they do, we're not going to see that big of a difference. All right, cool. So I think that's it. I think we're done. We will be live again tonight. With Tech Bros Weekly with Tanner, Roy, and myself. So we will be live again at 9:30. I'm also uploading all the AIPCon interviews I had. So I had 6 of them. I put them all inside of a video, and that'll be uploaded probably in like an hour. So we talked about AI FTEs, Nestle, Bolt, which is the payments company Palantir partnered with, Citibank. There's some really good interviews in there. So I know AI FTE is the big one that everyone cares about. That'll be the first one you see, but it'll be in the chapter, so you can check it out. And yeah, that is it for today. They beat revenue by 2%, 8.37 versus 8.19 billion. All right, cool. Cool. So beat on revenue, miss on EPS, and small miss on deliveries. Is it Nestle or Nestle? It's the chocolate brand. How do you say it? It's Nestle, right? Because there's the accent over the E. I interviewed the guy from Mexico, the supply chain Mexico Nestle lead. That's how you say it, right? It's the freaking accent over the E. I could have said Nestle, like a gringo. Okay, could have said that. But I said Nestle, So there you go. Thank you. Thank you for some credit. That's all I want. I'm not trolling, bro. I'm not trolling. Truth Social just texted me. They said, "Are you interested in joining a beta waitlist for Truth Plus Patriot package, our new streaming platform?" I'm gonna respectfully decline joining the beta on the Truth Plus Patriot package. But if anyone wants to join, you can sign up for a Truth Premium, I guess. So there you go. You are hopeless, Amit. Dude, I said Steimer. I said Stammer. And then I finally got Starmore. Some of these words, bro. Some of these words. All right, cool. So that's it. Yeah, we'll be back in a few hours. And we'll keep going from there. By the way, there's this guy who made a video on Grab that I'm going to link right here. We're not going to watch it, but it's 20 minutes. It's honestly, now I know what some of you guys feel like back in 2022 when no one was making content on Palantir and like I was the only one doing it. Like I've been fiending for some Grab content. Like I've just been like, I want to get other perspectives and no one on freaking YouTube makes Grab content. And this guy put out a 20-minute video and I'm like, I can't wait to watch it. Right. It's like it kind of gives me an inclination of what it was like in 2022 when there was just no videos on Palantir and like everyone wanted videos on it. Now Grab is not like Palantir in terms of the retail excitement, but still like you want to get different perspectives and no one makes content about this stock. So this guy, Unrivaled Investing, 109,000 subscribers. I've watched some of his content in the past. He's relatively strong at analyzing companies. He put out a video today about Grab. So if anyone wants some more of Grab content and to go deeper into it, you can click that video there and check it out. But yeah, it reminded me like just like when there's a demand for something and there's no supply, it's like when you step in and give some of that supply, and it works out, obviously, then it can definitely help in terms of building some more of the audience. Uber has a stake in Grab. Dude, it was so funny. Hold on. Can I show you guys this part from the podcast with Farzad? This thing was hilarious because Farzad on his podcast, he was like, so what we just shitted on Uber for like freaking 15 minutes. And he's like, all right, so what new stock are you interested in? And I'm like, well, it's basically the Uber of Southeast Asia. He just started laughing. Oh, let me show you this. Let me see. Okay. Here we go. Look at this. This is hilarious, bro. This is hilarious. Deeply on these AI names and hyper analyzing them every day. And it's hard to find a real undervalued one right now.
What does Grab do? Sorry, Hans, go. You
go. No, let's do Grab first and then we'll come back to this.
Yeah.
So ironically, Grab is the Uber of Southeast Asia. And
Thank you for reconfirming my thesis. Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's more so a bet on the nature of the company. It's a $20 billion company. They have $9 billion in cash. All right, I'll link this here. You guys can watch it. But it was so funny because he spent 15 minutes saying, yeah, Uber's dead. And I'm like, well, I'm investing in the Uber of Southeast Asia. And he was like, well, but it kind of proved his point because his point was like, if Uber can be easily replicated in another part of the world, like, where's the moat to Uber, right? Where's the value to Uber at the end of the day? Now, does that mean it's dead? I don't know, but it was funny. So you guys can check out that podcast as well. You can check that out. It was a good pod. We talked about a lot of things, but at the end we talked about AI and what it's going to do to jobs and creativity. I think it was a really good discussion. It would have gone on for another hour if freaking the internet didn't break last Thursday. We were in the middle of it and we had to stop because of StreamYard, but it was I think it's a good podcast. So you guys will enjoy it. That dude has a sick Explorer guitar. Farzad, I have seen him play his guitar many times on stream. He likes some band called like Metallica or something like that. He's like a big fan of them. I've never like heard of them, to be honest. What is their like #1 song? Metallica. Yeah, they're like for like 1981, a Los Angeles band. Heavy metal, that's what he's into. Metallica is an American heavy metal band. It was formed in LA by 1981 by vocalist, guitarist James Hetfield and drummer Lars Ulrich. So that's the main song that he What are you guys saying? What are you Wait, what are you saying in the chat? Why is everyone making fun of me? What are you saying? Farzad, why are you mad? He said has to be true. What are you talking about? Dude, it's freaking... Is it not Metallica? It's freaking Metallica. What do you mean? It's not like... What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Why is everyone upset? Metallica? What? Metallica? That's how you say it? Okay, I'm trolling. I'm trolling. I knew it was Metallica. I'm trolling. I'm kidding. Farzad, don't hate me forever. I'm kidding. Obviously, I know about the rock metal band Metallica. Okay. Freaking, Hotel California, amazing song. All right, like I get it. Or is that Aerosmith? No, that's it. Oh no, that's Aerosmith. What song is Metallica? Dude, I don't think I've ever heard a Metallica song. Honestly, I was trolling on the name, but I honestly don't think I've ever heard a Metallica song. Dude, I am crazy. I just went to Robinhood. I was supposed to go to YouTube Music. I went to Robinhood. Look at, I'm typing in metal. I freaking thought I was on Spotify or something. I cannot believe I just did that. I went to Robinhood to type in Metallica. I need to be going to YouTube. Goodness gracious, dude. Okay, what's the best Metallica song ever? I'll listen to it tonight. Nothing Else Matters has 2.1 billion plays. Enter Sandman has 1 billion. The Unforgiven has 844 million. Master of Puppets has 446 million. One has 726 million. For Whom the Bell Tolls, 155 million. Sad But True, 250. Wherever I May Roam, 250. Hotel California is the Eagles? Okay, that I promise. Wait, you're right. Holy crap. So what did Aerosmith make? I swear I thought Hotel California was the Eagles. Okay, so what did Aerosmith, what was their big song? I don't know any Aerosmith songs then, dude. I thought Hotel California was Aerosmith. I swear I thought it was Dream On, Crazy. I don't know any of these songs. Amazing, Crying, Hole in My Soul. I don't know any of this shit. I don't know. I just know. Wait, was Ozzy Osbourne in Aerosmith? Was he? No. I like Ozzy Osbourne. I mean, I like one of his songs before. I'm just digging into a hole really badly right now. Dude, I promise. I was trolling about the Metallica, but I honestly thought that Hotel California was Aerosmith. Hotel California, the Eagles. Okay. Are they from Philadelphia or something? All right, Eagles. Okay, cool. So what song for Metallica? I'll listen to it tonight. I promise. As far as out here, did he get upset and leave? Dude, I was trolling on the Metallica. I promise I was trolling on the Metallica. But you got to give me some credit. I was keeping a freaking straight face. I was saying Metallica with a straight freaking face. It took me a good 5 minutes before I finally started laughing. But what if I'm using reverse psychology and I actually thought it was Metallica? Guess we'll never know. I guess we'll never know. Master of Puppets. Okay. As soon as this stream ends, I'm going to be listening to it. Master of Puppets. All right, here we go. That's the song. 8 minutes and 30. Okay, that's a long song, but I will be listening to it. And I will enter into the world of Metallica tonight. I really have never listened to Metallica ever. So, but I know Farzad loves it and he plays the guitar on it. So there you go. Last 15 seconds. Dude, at least it's better than when my friends send me Instagram reels and I have to freaking stare at something. Like, I'd rather you give me a song and I'll put it in the background so I can actually go on with my life versus having to stare at a freaking Instagram reel that I don't want to listen to or watch. So I'd rather listen to the song. Wherever I May Roam as well. Okay, so I'm gonna put it in a list right here. Metallica, Wherever I May. What about Nothing Else Matters? This thing has 2 billion plays. I feel like that should be there. Okay, so I'm gonna listen to 3. Nothing Else Matters, or 4. Enter Sandman, the puppet thing, and then Nothing Else Matters is good too, and then Wherever I May Roam, and Master of Puppets. So those are the ones I'll listen to today. All right, cool. I have some homework tonight. I will report tomorrow morning how I thought it was. I'll listen to them tonight. I promise. There is a 0% chance he listens from start to finish. It's 4 songs, 15, 20 minutes. I'm going to listen to them right now, and I will report on it tomorrow. So there you go. Metallica, though. Also, YouTube Metallica playing Enter Sandman in Moscow in 1991. Do they still put out music? When was their last album? 2023, dude. It was recent. All right, cool. All right, I will learn about Metallica. It was a good troll, though. You can't lie. It was a good troll. It was a good troll, dude. I rewatch it. I kept a straight face for a good freaking 2 minutes before I finally, and I acted like I actually was wrong, and I was like, oh my god, really? It's Metallica, not Metallica. It was a good troll. Like, I was trying not to see the comments the whole time. I was just trying to like stay on Google, like scrolling through the links, because I knew if I saw the comments, I would have cracked. So, clip material. Yep, exactly. Guys, I got bored and watched the documentary on pavement instead. Oh my gosh. All right, I'm gonna go listen to the music. Thank you, everybody. We'll be back at 9:30 with Tanner and Roy, and we'll talk Hood, Nvidia, and anything else going on in the tech world. All right, thank you, everybody, for joining. Farzad, feel better, man. Hope you feel better. Thanks for joining the stream. Hopefully the stream got to distract you a little bit from being sick. And yeah, we'll do our next podcast probably in like 2 weeks. And that'll be out on his channel as well. All right, guys. I'll see you guys later tonight. Bye, everyone.